guess I've had so many requests to go live in the last 12 hours, so I guess I will oblige. I haven't felt so great about it lately, and I haven't been in a good place, but politics kind of makes me feel a little better, so why not? There you go. So, maybe it's just that I know a lot about it, and it gives me more confidence when I talk about it. Probably because a lot of people have been shooting down my positivity about standing up for others, and it's been hurting. Anyway, I love to talk about politics, though. So, good morning. We can talk about that. Did you guys see the GOP 900-page nightmare plan to take down America and make it an actual Christian theocracy? If that isn't something to scare the heck out of you, I don't know what is. So, holy cheese and crumpets. You guys have no clue. If you have not read this thing, it is something to be scared about, that's for sure. Tank, be careful about blocking folks, okay? I don't want to block everybody. I'd like to have some spirited conversation, if that's okay. Some of it we can block, but, you know, I hate not having the conversation and then having nothing but yes men in front of me, right? So I can prove some people. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good
Yeah, I didn't
morning.
block anybody.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice what was going on above me. I just
I
noticed some things popping up.
I sent invites.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I
Yeah, but
didn't. Oh, yeah.
no, I tend not to block unless they just get really homophobic and really racist.
Oh, yeah. Racist, homophobic remarks, even though some people think I'm a racist piece
See,
of shit. I'm not. And, you know, they can think what they want, but I don't put up with those kind of comments. In
I
fact, it
invited Julian.
surprises me some people do so much.
I sent the invite to Julian.
Hi, Julian. How are you?
If I'm saying it correctly.
Jolone? Hello?
Hello,
Hello, how
how
are
you doing?
you? All right, how are you?
I'm very. How
What would you
about
like
you?
to talk about?
How about you? How you doing over there?
All right, what would you like to talk about?
I don't understand what you say. What do
Well,
you say? What do you, I don't understand you. What do you say?
Uh-oh.
you don't understand me? Why, why did you accept the invitation?
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Hmm.
It's all right. Go ahead and drop him, Tank, if he doesn't understand. Thank you so much for coming up, though. I appreciate you.
Okay, no worry, no
Uh,
worry, no worry.
it's okay.
Bye.
Bye
How do
bye.
you do how do you do that? I don't know how to do that.
Just click on his box, and all the way at the end of the line is a little X.
Got it.
If it's the same thing as mine, I think.
Okay, I didn't know how to
Mhm.
do that. That was my first time doing that. Sorry. I've
Yeah,
never done.
that's all right. We all got to do it first time, right? Um,
Yeah, I'm really worried
so
about what you're concerned about, Um, and I've sent you some private stuff. I mean, I could send you some YouTube stuff on your FB profile. I just, and it brings me to tears. All of this brings me to tears. What they want to
It-
do to women is really harmful. I mean, I don't think people are accepting the magnitude of this. Okay.
Well, and here's the thing. When I talk to the BIPOC community, they think that I think they're weak. I think nothing of the sort. I think they're strong and magnificent, and I think that they've defended their own community for a very long time. And I think that they're brave and they've done everything that they can to fight against the YT supremacy that's always been there. My concern is that no matter how hard you fight, the numbers are there. And they've always fought with honor, just like the indigenous people. That doesn't mean that people that look like me aren't wrong. And it's going to take people like me, even though they don't think so. It's going to take people like me in the background to
Well, it's
punch
gonna
somebody
take
in the
us.
side. It's
It's
going to
gonna.
take people like me in the background to pump somebody in the head when they're about to pull a trigger, or they're about to press a keyboard, or they're about to do something, right?
Well,
I mean,
60% of YT women voted for Trump. This is a
I know.
reality we
And
have
and
to
look, I'm
accept.
not saying that we're not dangerous. I am the first person in the world to say that YT women are extremely dangerous to BIPOC people. And
Yeah.
that's what I said. In proximity, I am extremely dangerous because of the world we're around, not because I have some malicious intent, but because
No,
of the society we live in that makes
because
an automatic
well,
assumption
well,
about things.
people, well, the BIPOC community doesn't know, and this is something we have to share more about. We need to make videos about it, okay? Um,
The
and
thing
I see it
is
all the
that
time. I see it all the time in the IBEW. These
the,
rednecks want to corral us. Okay, they think that they can bully us and corral us into that vote for them, and I'm not
look,
doing
this
it.
this is what I'm trying to say though. People get defensive and they say, "Well, I'm not dangerous." You're thinking of it in a personal term, like you're saying that you're going to automatically attack somebody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that society at large automatically blames communities that are not at fault. And if you are part of a community that does that, inadvertently, we are harmful. That is just a fact. We have to accept that. And when you don't accept that, you are harmful. Okay? That is a problem. We have to understand inadvertently being harmful to others is a thing. It's just like if you're a human being and you're walking down the street and you walk on something and you don't mean to. It's a power structure that we have among us that we don't understand. And it's not that I do it on purpose or you do it on purpose or anybody does it on purpose. It's the world around us that's structured in that manner. And unless people are willing to open their mind, close your eyes, and understand what it is, that
I
that
just,
some that possibly a black middle-aged black woman might get pulled over in the middle of Tennessee somewhere and get harassed by 7 cops that terrify her to the point where she might not feel like she might make it home. That
I,
is a possibility. That is something that happens. And that we deny that going on, that makes us dangerous.
oh, I agree absolutely. I'm not
This is
saying.
the kind of thing I'm
uh,
talking about.
I'm
Okay?
saying that
And
the
I'm
vote
not saying that to
represents
you.
the
I'm saying it
danger.
to other people in the comments, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say to Garbage Can and other people that try to say that these things aren't real, that we're not speaking about facts, okay? That we're not speaking about a truth that is really there. I'm not saying that I'm going to walk around with a tire iron and try to hurt somebody deliberately. I'm trying to say that the environment that we're around that engulfs us as Americans, that we have 15% of the population that is truly abused. Would you let somebody up? They're asking in the comments. Take, or
Yeah.
they're asking in the box. And so when we see that, we have to take responsibility for that, right? Take responsibility for who we are in society and say, in proximity, because of who we are dangerous, right? And because of that, we have to recognize that, acknowledge that fact, and therefore we can be more wary and try to be less dangerous, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Hi,
It's not,
Rosebud.
I'm learning,
hi.
Swagger. I'm learning. Give me patience.
No worries, you're fine.
So, hi. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's not that I'm running around trying to hurt others purposely. It's that our society is built to do this, right?
Exactly.
I know. I had a coworker today, and he was talking about a woman's appearance, right? And he is anti-LGBTQ, and this is that same coworker, and I really don't understand this. He's 6'2", he has nothing to fear by these people. There's no fear. You're 6'2", you're 200 and something odd
Right.
pounds, you're buff as I don't know what. I don't understand the fear. And her appearance wasn't exactly the most feminine. And I had to reinforce and tell him, well, do I sound the most feminine? He's like, well, oh, you've smoked. And I said, no. I said, it's not all smoking. I was born sounding like this. My mother thought I was a boy until they told her.
And see, we're born with these certain ideas of who men and women are. In fact, men and women, that is a title, right? Male and female is how we're born, and men and women, that is a title we give each other, right? So I mean, we put
Uh-uh.
this idea of who men and women are supposed to be. So if somebody comes along and they don't fit that mold, or they don't fit who we think that person is supposed to be in our mind, we we're caught off guard unconsciously, right? You're caught off guard because that individual doesn't fit that mold that
Individual.
we thought in society that they fit. So perhaps a woman looks more masculine at what we think they're supposed to look like, right? In society. Or a man looks more feminine than that we're used to seeing in society. That might subconsciously trigger something in the back of your mind that goes, um, that's not what I'm normally seeing in women for the last 30 years. And even though that's not something to be scared of, in the back of your mind, because we are used to a normalcy or a regulatory thing, it clicks something. And it's not necessarily fear, but our brains are so complicated that we don't even recognize it. When we see something that's not quote unquote the regular, right? Or the day to day thing, which normal isn't really the right word, but we are very much creatures of habit, right? We like to do the same thing every day. You like the same food, you like the same drinks, you like the same, everybody likes to do their same thing all the time. Everybody has their favorite stuff. And if something goes around in your life and tilts that, you're like, well, I can't get my drink now, bitches. Now I'm pissed. My caffeine's gone. What the fuck, right? And it's the same thing if you see something else in your life that doesn't fit that pattern. In your subconscious is going, yo, man, what's going on here? I'm not sure what is regulatory back here. And so up front, you don't realize the back of your brain's doing that. So up front, it comes out as either fear, or it comes out as distaste, or it comes out as revulsion. And we need to understand that just because I don't recognize it as my day to day doesn't mean that I should be fearful or hateful or repulsed.
I
It
mean,
just means, you know
I,
what I'm
I am,
saying?
I am so confused by this racism and this anti-LGBTQ. I grew up in a small town. The gay person that was in our town was our family friend. Okay, he did dress up, or he had friends who dressed up. My first relationship was with a man who who cross-dressed. I'm baffled. I'm baffled. I think men who dress up is sexy. This
I
turns
love
me on.
men. I do. I had my experimental days when I was 18 and I was like, no, I love men too much. But I mean, um, I just, the thing to make it real easy is all bigotry and all prejudice boils down to white supremacy racism.
It
It
does.
all boils down
It
to it.
does. It all
When
goes
you
back to
break it
that.
down to the nitty gritty, when you break it down to all the teeny tiny little parts, and you break it down to where it came from, why we feel that way, why, how, generalities, the power struggle, and everything else, that's all where it comes from.
Well,
And it
it's
goes
all
all the way back to so far that we can't even
it's all
really
an
understand.
it's all
I
an
mean, you can
interpretation
go
of a
back to like
Peter
the
Frampton Jesus.
1400s, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it comes all the way back to before our country was ever formed.
Do you understand
But
what I just said? They think it's
can
going
you
to be a Peter Frampton Jesus. He's going to have blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm serious. This is what it
look?
goes back to.
Um, I want to hear if Swagger has anything to say because he's been
Me
quiet.
too.
Sorry. I'll just listen to you guys talk for a minute. Okay. It's like saying, like, for a female, right? Like, if a female wants to do what a guy does, like work on cars, they could do it too. Like, whatever a guy could do, a female could do too, as long as they stick to it. Same as that too, you know. But like, to be like my honest opinion about the thing that you guys are talking about, as long as they're happy for what they date or for who they want to, date, it's pretty much all that matters. Because at the end of the day, there's gonna be a lot of haters, and at the end of the day, they'll realize, hey, we shouldn't be hating because there's a lot of people that are different people in life, you know. And
Sure, and when we break all that down, I mean, for example, when you look at misogyny. Misogyny is a power struggle. It's a power between men and women, and men wanting to be able to have control. The same thing with SA, the same thing with grape, right? When we look at the psychology and the and the actual breaking it down, it's about power. It's about control, right? When you look at racism, even though there are other aspects to it, there's a huge amount of power, a huge amount of control, a huge amount of um, domination there, right? The same thing with taking over with the LGBTQ community. They don't want you to be able to make choices for your own life. There's a power there. There's a dynamic. There's a taking control. There are many similarities. The same thing with anti-Semitism. We don't want to allow the Jewish community to have their own power, their money, their own, current whatever they're going to do with their lives. The power struggle to take over for other ethnicities or groups and say, we don't want you to have what we got, right? That's basically what it boils down to. And of course, don't get me wrong, I can't speak for other communities and how they feel. That's how me as a privileged white tea person in this country sees it. And
right,
I can't tell you how other people see it. I can
that
just
goes
tell you how I see it.
like what you're saying too is like my honest opinion about that. Everybody has different opinions, you know, different like mindsets or different ways of seeing things in life, you know. What you're trying to say, right? Like people have different
Right. I
opinions.
mean, just like the very complex dynamic with YT women, right? So I mean, for the longest time in history, we've
Hey,
always thought because
yo,
men. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thomas, you don't got a picture on your profile, bro.
It's all right. Leave Thomas alone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just
Okay, I'll follow him.
running his trap.
No, it's all right. I think I was harsh on Thomas the other day. If it's the same person I'm thinking of, so give them some grace. Um, but the complication with YT women in today's society, right? Okay, because we thought back in the days, back 400, 500 years ago, we really thought that the YT men were the ones that controlled everything, right? And because they held all the property and they controlled all the money. But when we actually look into history, we realize women, we didn't have real property and we didn't have a lot of power outside the household. But domestically, we were horrible. Okay. We were taught from toddlers to own other people. We were taught how to torture and abuse black children. We were taught how to raise black children our age like baby dolls, like they were our playthings. And that if we didn't get what we wanted, many black children ended up being beat to death by white children. And we were taught how to treat them like that. And we need to realize that women's back then, the woman's power was in her dowry, and her dowry was how much property she owned and how many black slaves she owned in her dowry to carry on in her marriage. Women were diabolical back then, and we let it slide because we didn't know, because they didn't own real property. And many of those stories of horror go untold. But we have to tell them and we have to speak up, because if we don't, we're no better than our ancestors who kept it covered up.
Right. I agree.
I agree. I agree. That's why I keep sending you the videos. I've been having phone issues for a long time, and I got a spare phone. It's a little bit complicated because I have it backed up via a plug-in thing for the phone. You can do that with a phone now. You can back it up. So it takes a minute to change it up, but it's
And of
well worth
course,
it.
I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I can't speak for the black community, but I can speak up for heinous white bullshit.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'd rather do.
if I know that we've been lying for a long ass time, we've been covering up shit. We've been lying about these residential schools and what we did to the indigenous children. We have been um, covering things up and lying about pickaninnies in Florida, hush puppies in the race against slavery back during the Underground Railroad, and even here in Southwest Pennsylvania, the rivers and the schools
We've
are
been covering
still
up a
in
lot.
indigenous names.
We,
Why
we've been
can we why
It's
can we
terrible.
not just own up to our past? I'm talking about releasing facts in history. This
I,
is
I
what we should do. We
I
should
agree
talk
with you.
about covered history. And the people in the comments are unhappy about it because they don't want the truth to be told.
No, they don't.
I am not being hateful.
Yo, she's not being rude at all. She's just speaking the facts.
And the
It's not.
reason that I like to wear this
It's
because I love doing the cartoon thing,
no,
but I
no.
also have body dysmorphia disorder, and I don't like looking at my own face. So please do not comment on my disabilities.
White hate is not racism. It's a prejudice. Please get that. Please look up prejudice. Have the wisdom to know the difference. White people cannot experience racism. They can only experience prejudice.
I have shown my real face on here
Yo,
many times, and
Abolish,
those that know me know what my real face looks like.
Abolish, can
If
I
you
say
have not
something?
stuck
Hang on.
around long enough to see that, then perhaps you might want to stick
Rosebud,
around longer. Yes.
Rosebud, hang on, give me a minute, girl.
Hmm.
Yo, Abolish, if you don't like what you see in her TikTok, bro, you just might as well squirrel up because I know who she is, and if she doesn't want to show her face, she don't need to show her face for no reason, for no one. Anyways, go back to your conversation, Haas.
And another thing, they love to play this thing about black people owning slaves. Do you know why black people owned slaves back in the day? They were buying back their family members. They were freeing their family. And then us, as YT people, have the gall to try to use that against them historically. Actually, Bailey, you don't know what you're talking about because if you went in my profile, it would take you to my campaign page where my picture is and where
You don't
my
really want to look at her
Facebook,
picture. She has a
my
photo right there in
Twitter,
front of your guys'
my
face.
email, and all my open information is.
Do you want them
So
gone?
perhaps, no, I don't speak for anybody but history. And if you think my history is long, please feel free to go educate yourself.
Do you want this Marxist left gone?
Yes. She giving warnings
Okay.
after warnings.
Yeah, once they've had several warnings and they're just being nasty, then they can get blocked or muted.
I muted them, but I don't see how to block them for some
Hey, what you
reason.
need to do,
Oh, I might have the block feature turned off. A while back, my mods got kind of crazy with the block feature, so
Yeah,
I
I try not to do that. I try to ask you
um,
first.
yeah, no problem. If they're muted during the whole live, it's all right anyway. If they want to report me, they can. When you report me for no reason, almost all the time, I get my account back shortly. And I have enough accounts that even if you want to report me, I could be back on here in 2 minutes. So, and most of the people on here that are familiar with me will tell you that's true.
Tint, can we mute that person?
Okay.
I don't like
And
that comment.
you're gonna make a Rosebud account? I hope you do. And God bless you if you can handle the heat.
Yeah.
I can't seem to tap on this one.
Tank, you want to tell them how much heat my accounts get?
Yeah.
Now that guy right there, Mr. Nice Guy, I'll block him personally. He is a stalker. He goes to every one of my lives and harasses me. That one I enjoy.
If y'all don't like what you guys see in her TikTok, why don't you guys just keep on going, scrolling up in the middle of someone else's and troll them?
And before I block him, I will let everybody know the reason he's trolling me is because I told everybody about his little fraud game. See, he is a slumlord in New York, and he wanted me to get my real estate license in Pennsylvania so that he could do some fraud bullshit.
Hang on, before you block him, Rosebud, can I say something really quick?
Sure.
If you're still Mr. Nice Guy, why you Mr. Nice Guy sitting here in the comments with the rude ass fucking comments you got going on there, big homeboy? Nice to see you, but haha, bye bye. Go ahead, you go ahead, Rosebud. You do what you gotta do.
My clicker's just clicking. Hold on a second. There we go. I have this new phone and it's like so touchy. Here we go.
Goodbye, homeboy. Ain't no Mr. Nice Guy anymore, ain't you? Sorry, but I had to open my mouth whenever I see rude comments like
So,
that.
Thomas, were you the Thomas that was in here the other day? I was just checking. I was curious because somebody said that I was unnecessarily rude, and I was a little bit in my feels. So, while sometimes I believe people deserve my ire and anger whenever I
No worries,
feel like
Thomas.
I've been disrespected, if you don't deserve it, I do genuinely feel sorry when I get nasty at people. Some people tend to push my buttons deliberately, though, and
Yo, Thomas, follow me back. I got you to follow, bro. You need some more followers so you go live.
well, he's a Trump supporter. I hope he educates himself because those guys are not for our country.
To me, on the whole thing with Trump and Biden crap, I'm not against nobody. I'm not going for nobody, to be honest with you. I'll see it whenever I see it, type shit. So they say Biden's
Well,
good, they say Trump's good.
we
So
actually have folks. We actually have folks talking about taking over the government in 2025 if they get power. And I know that some of the Trump lovers out there think that's a good idea. They're planning on doing it no matter who wins the Republican Party.
Now
And I
you
don't,
know that they plan on jailing 100,000 per day.
they plan on doing such heinous things in this country that you're not going to recognize either a democracy or a republic.
And I'm really scared, Rosebud, and I'm afraid because they sent 16 fake electors. So what's to stop them from doing it again?
Nothing. And that's why everybody's trying to kick him off the ballot. Because if he gets on the ballot again, all the people that helped him try to do what he did the last time are going to try to help him do it again. And if he does it again, I'm sure he's not going to make the same mistakes he did the last time. He will pardon everyone that tries to do it again so that they won't be able to testify against him. People don't understand. All those hearings about J6, those were Republicans testifying against him, not Democrats.
Thomas, why do you feel that everybody needs to be identified to vote? I mean, you don't understand what it costs to get identification. It's $65.
expensive.
It's $65 just to get identification. Yeah, I mean, it really is a luxury to have just that identification, much less a driver's license. Not everybody has $65. If you're homeless, you don't have $65.
If you're homeless, you're lucky if you have $1.
You seem to
If
take
you're
it for
homeless, you're lucky.
granted.
You're lucky enough to have a phone.
I can only guess you're white.
Oh, jeez.
After some of the nutty conservatives I've seen on this app, I can't even guess that anymore because
And I'm guessing he's white, and it's coming from a white person. Go figure.
I have seen some of the half-ass-handed stuff from some BIPOC conservatives on here that make me go, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah, like, because Rosebud has a reason for her to have a thing on her face. There's a lot of hateful people that come in up in here, and
Well,
I'm
I
tired of
have
it.
body dysmorphic disorder, so it sometimes it really bothers me to have to stare at my own face sometimes. It's an actual disorder on the DSM-5. So for people to continue to harp on me on it, they absolutely don't care about somebody's mental health.
I
No,
care about you. That's why I've been following you for the longest time, and I haven't seen you on live for a minute.
Yeah, it's I know it's not you. It's not you. I just I've been going through a lot trying to
Get
decolonize
your life
and
straightened
work
out.
out my mental health issues at the same time, and it's not been easy. But I've not given up yet, although some people have given up on me a long time ago. I just met another person that tried to say I tried to hang a Confederate flag in their live. I was like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
I know you would never do that.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. I believe BIPOC people. So, I mean, normally when you tell me something like that, I'm like, holy shit, what happened? What did somebody do? And then you say stuff like that about me, and I'm like, what?
You're gonna have to be careful on here, Rose, because
But
there's gonna
it's
be a
not about
lot.
me. I mean, people just like fly out stuff out of their mouths.
Yo, Tint,
There's gonna
Tint.
be a lot of division on this app because
Honey,
you
let
know
me tell you something. I'm going to tell you, Tank.
some of
People
these.
think this app is more toxic than the real world. This app is a direct reflection of what is going on in this country. People don't want to acknowledge that because they don't want to acknowledge what is past their living room and their neighborhood.
Well,
But
they
the
don't want to
actual
acknowledge
conflict going on this app is exactly what is
What's going on
going
in the real
on
world?
in this
what.
country.
Well, they don't want to acknowledge how ignorant they are. That's the real difficulty. Okay, I get them on the phone every single night, and they can't even order a pizza. Okay, this is reality. They can't order a pizza. They
Right,
can't tell
babe?
you if it's pickup or delivery until the last minute. And I'm like, I have a certain order that I take the information in, right? To make sure I've always got your information correct. So
Mhm.
I don't ever have to
Nick,
repeat
it's
myself.
worse than that. These kids can't give me change when I check
I
out at
know.
the store.
I know, I know. This is what
Yeah,
I'm trying
right?
to say, and this all comes from early childhood development. People don't understand the effects of early 0 to age 5. What you do during those years are the most important years of a
And the
child's life.
statistics are showing us how bad it is, and people are blowing them off like they're tissue paper. The statistics have been telling us the people, almost all people that don't have a higher level of education can only read at a fifth or sixth grade level. And our schools are continuing to go downhill. And we've
And
been
these,
defunding education in this country for 50 years.
I'm on a college campus, okay, and I got foreign exchange students everywhere, right? And it's sad. They refuse to learn our language. They refuse to learn how to spell, and then they take these courses in college, and the college that they're at seems to pass them. I don't know why. I know I know in medical school it would make the difference between life and death. You cannot misspell them words. You
Here's the
cannot.
thing. There are kids that excel. You do have kids that have higher IQs that can be the doctors, can be the interpreters, like my daughter, can excel in spite of the problems at school. Here's the issue. You don't have the kids that can do that and then still go to do things like HVAC and plumbing and things like that, because those skills still need math. Those skills
Yes.
still
Electrical,
need
you
some
need
basic,
lots of math.
the basic skills. And we are missing these kids. And we
Oh,
are
yeah.
seeing it in our society today because these skills are needed and they pay awesome.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
plumbers make a shit ton of money. Your
Oh, I know.
HVAC, these guys really do make good money. But they require basic math skills. They require basic training. They require basic skills that our kids that
I
needed
agree with
the
you,
extra
Bailey.
time in school did not get.
You know, I'm going to
That
tell you, the
is the point.
education system, you know, and I know I fell through the cracks. You're speaking to somebody that fell through the cracks, who had to go back and get their high school diploma the hard way because I wanted to be an educator and they wouldn't accept a GED back then. Okay? They
And
would
and
only
here
accept a high
and
school
here's another
diploma.
one. You have these actual these voucher schools, these private schools that they're taking money out of public schools and sending kids to these other schools, and all these parents are like, I love my child's school. They're doing so well. They're getting A's. It's wonderful. What they don't tell you is these schools do not have to follow the same mandates public schools do. Kids are graduating and they're not graduating at the ability of being able to go to college because they're graduating at a level they can't pass their SATs. They're not giving you the actual understanding that these schools are not meeting the match. They're not making the moment and they're not preparing these children for the real world.
But once again, it's about white supremacy because
It's
they want it.
all, look, if it's about property, if it's about life, if it's about any kind of above and beyond, it's about white supremacy.
And I've
If
been
it's
saying that.
if it's
And
about making money,
Oh,
this is what I tell people, Tink. Everybody goes, I made so much money under Donald Trump. And every time they say that, I said, how much is your soul worth?
Really,
Because
exactly.
that's what you're doing.
And that's how I
You're
feel
allowing
about.
the greed. You're allowing the greed of and the monopoly of money and capitalism in the market to take your soul away because it's hurting your children. It's hurting
That,
your health
exactly.
care.
but that's what I keep telling this family member that keeps wanting to serve the community with her cakes, and she doesn't seem to comprehend. You know, these aren't really your friends. I keep telling her over and over, and she's like, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And I'm just old fashioned, and I'm just being a mothering hen, and blah, 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 blah.
You
And,
know,
and,
I hear these garbage people telling me, "Oh, you just live in a trailer and you don't make any
and
money." You know what? My broke ass does. And my broke ass gets disability because I'm disabled. And you know what? I don't make a lot of money. But you know what? I didn't sell my soul to do it either. I stuck
I'm not.
behind after I went back to school and I helped other disabled people and I stayed back and I made sure that my daughter, my youngest, made it to a university. And I took the time out as a disabled person to make sure that I put the time out where I knew it needed to go. Okay? It
You're not
doesn't matter to me if I make a ton of shit money because you know what the real success of life is? The real meaning that tells you whether or not you were a success at the very end. It's not how much you leave in your bank account because you can't take that shit with you. It doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter how many
It
rings
just
are on
matters
your
if you're
finger.
happy.
It doesn't matter how many clothes you have. It doesn't matter how many cars are in your parking lot. What really matters at the very end of the day is when you're laying on your deathbed. Is there somebody to hold your hand as you go?
this. I'm muting this. I'm sorry. I gotta mute this. I don't
Is
like this.
there somebody that really cares to show you that you actually loved anybody and gave them a reason to go on after you're gone? That's what will show you that you actually did something worthwhile.
I'm going to be kind to you, Thomas, and I'm just going to say, number one, you don't understand what it costs a woman to have birth control to even be in your life. That's number one. You don't understand how much it costs. And number two, if something goes wrong and she is carrying your child, you do realize in certain states at this point that she would have to be strapped to a bed and a monitor would be strapped around her belly, and y'all would have to listen to the heartbeat until the baby passed on. Thanks for letting me share.
Yo,
That's
Thomas,
if
one,
birth control is
And
given.
and you
That's
know
if,
what? People might not think that's worth anything, but I could close my eyes and wake up tomorrow and not own a thing. And my kids will be okay. And my life will go on. And things will be all right. Could
to
it's
be
you
not
say
honest,
free.
that?
It's
Could-
not free, Thomas.
and hold on, guys. I want people to think about this. Could you say the same thing? If your house was gone, if your car was gone, if your bank account was gone, if every single thing in your life disappeared because of a tornado, because of a tragedy, if every single thing you had, every single thing you owned, every single thing you could possibly imagine, all your pictures, all your memories, anything that you ever thought that your life was worth except for your children or the loved ones that you had. Could you wake up and just get up and walk away and say, I'll be okay? I know I could. Could you?
oh, Thomas,
That
that went to the
is
wrong
what
different
I'm
ballgame.
saying.
See, that's another reason why you're alone on the internet at 7-Eleven in the morning hunting down Democrats, Thomas, because you have no life.
Don't bring
You know, I
big
know that
things.
I don't have a lot of friends in real life. I have a couple here and there that, but you know what? If Tink called me in the middle of the night and she told me that she had a massive, massive emergency and I had the ability, I would drive to where she is because that's the kind of person I am. And if somebody else on here that I knew cared about me needed me, I would go there too because that's the kind of person I am. And somehow, some way, I don't think that you really would.
Can I get rid of TrioPod as well?
Uh, just a minute. And see, Tripod says my car wouldn't make it, but they don't know my car. They don't know me. See, they think that I run an old car. But even though I live in a trailer, and I might be on disability, but I never said I didn't work. You can work and still get disability.
Amen. I'm on it
So
on that one.
I wonder if my 2020 Hyundai would make it to your house, Tank. Do you think so?
Sure would.
Yeah, it would.
Yo,
Actually, it's not fraud. You might want to actually do some research.
how's that fraud? Tripod. You don't know your research before you say it's fraud.
Oh, isn't that? Look at you. You think you have something on me. Oh, good for you.
Now simply,
And my address is in my campaign website. Please help yourself.
oh, you want to do that there.
Actually, it's not. Because people have all kinds of rumors about my campaign on here.
Yo,
But actually, not a one of them is true. Because my campaign actually technically doesn't take off until January. Or don't you know how campaigns run? The state only runs one campaign at a time. So how could my campaign be running when 2023 is still running? I don't know. Do you know, Tink?
I know. I see. Once again, it's
And they said I don't have a campaign, but funny, my website is right in my profile.
that's like, they all say the election was stolen, and the real thing is everyone voted by mail ballot, and they don't like that. To them, that's not legal,
Even
and
though
they don't.
4 or 5 states over in
And
the
to me,
Northwest have been
and
voting
to
by
me,
mail for 20 years.
the dishonesty is not being direct and forthcoming with what they're saying. Instead they rather promote not truth telling. Instead they rather say, oh, they were doing it wrong. They weren't doing it
We're
wrong.
okay, life. How are you? So, trailer trash. Eminem grew up in a trailer.
Yo, Tripod, I think it's time for you to get out of here
Yeah, go ahead and take care of Tripod.
because I'm tired of seeing people saying trailer trash, and she ain't trailer trash. Sorry.
No, you know what? I live in a trailer. You want to call me trash? Does that make you feel good? You want to
I
come
live
spank some
I,
trailer
I live
trash?
in I live in a
I
trailer
have a
too.
Second Amendment and a 150-pound dog that says you can't come call me trailer trash to my face.
So is this another one, Thomas? He's saying Eminem is trailer trash.
Oh, Eminem is trailer trash? You know what? If you think Eminem is trailer trash, you go right ahead with that.
Thomas, bro, you've been talking shit, and we give you so many chances of being nice, and
Life. I'm a U.S. citizen, baby. Born and bred.
life is the
An
light.
Appalachian redneck, actually.
Rosebud,
Yeah.
life is a light is a cool person. I followed him. He's my follower.
Yeah. Cool. I know.
Interesting name.
Even worse. Ooh. Say it isn't so.
Yo, that's what's his name that just came back in here with a different account?
Is it?
Yep, he just made that account.
Wow, that's interesting. Bye.
That tripod, that's it. That's tripod. That's tripod's a different account.
Tripods or what was that guy's name?
Tripod.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Life. Um, I'm a political scientist running for office.
So have you printed up the 2025 thing yet? Because I'm
I didn't
curious.
print it, but I have it on my Google Drive, and I thought I sent it to you.
Yeah, you did, and I'm thinking about going to Kinko's or
That's
wherever.
900 pages, chick. You're gonna print 900 pages out?
How much is it?
900 pages.
That's a lot of ink. You figure about 10 cents a page nowadays.
Oh, that's a lot of money. Ink's expensive. It's like $10.
I mean, it used to be you could get it for like $4, 4 cents a page, but with the prices nowadays, I'd say they're gonna charge you at least 10 cents a page.
Uh
Yeah.
huh.
And that's the hard part, because if you don't have it printed up, you can't say to people, "Hey, look at this," because
Well, you
that.
can, but you got to get used to the PDF. Like you have to look at where it has the title page on it, so it'll show you like where you can find everything, and then you have to put the page number into the search bar, so it'll take you to it. So you can. I went to college online basically, so I'm used to doing PDFs instead of books, but Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
pain in the ass,
It,
but
it's
I'm gonna
So
tell you what, that GOP is not worth me spending that much on that 900. There, it's a book too. You could spend
oh,
$31 and buy
I
a book.
know it's a book, and I know it's pretty thorough, and I know I know it's probably a lot like reverse Hitler, if you will, or Schmittler. Um,
Basically, what they're going to do is see all throughout the country. You have these little, some of them bigger, some of them little, but a lot of them are little tiny conservative organizations that have their own agenda. Okay, and all of them, little as they are, they make their own money. You know, little they accomplish their goals in little areas, right? You have the anti-abortion ones, you have the pro-gun ones, you have the different conservative movements across the country. Most of them are just little, and then you have the big ones like the NRA or the Heritage Foundation. Well, this plan is to take all these organizations, like there's hundreds of them. They're going to take all these conservative organizations, bring them all together, and take the power out of all of them and consolidate it into one huge, massive, I keep wanting to say Confederate.
yeah,
but,
it sounds
oh,
awful lot like that, without
right,
saying that.
into um, one
One store.
conservative conglomerate and use that power to tear down the executive once they get into the presidency.
I
That's
know.
basically what they're going to do. They want to
Uh,
use all that power on the civilian side, okay, and a grassroots effort. They're going to use, basically, they're using the Democrat initiative and how we use grassroots to gain power and how we've been doing that for decades. They're using our movement against us. And they're going to use that as a power to go after the executive and tear down all of the agencies through the executive. So no
Okay.
more EPA, no more ERA, no more education, um,
oh, I
no
know.
more FBI, no more
I
CIA,
mean,
no more
they've
anything.
they've practically done it in the state of Florida. Practically. I mean, they don't realize it, okay? If something doesn't change by 2024, Disney will pack their shit. It's just that simple. Okay.
And you know
You've
what?
tried
That
you've
will
tried Disney
collapse
hands.
Florida
Huh?
because Florida gets billions from Disney a year. Billions.
I
And
know, but what
I've said that
you,
before. People might not like corporations, but we have gotten to the point now in this country, you can't just turn off all of the corporation money. You can't. Too many people are working. Too many people
but what
need their jobs.
would you want to take your child to Disney knowing there's schmotzies out front? Because I know.
No.
And
But what
I
I'm
know,
Oh
saying
no.
I
is,
know, I
it,
know. If I had to talk to my family that I work for, okay, and I had to pull them aside. And granted, I didn't like saying this. I really didn't. They come to this country from Syria, hoping to have a better place, and some little coworker of theirs has to run up and tell them, "Hey, there's schmotzies out front. I don't think it's a good idea you go down there. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea."
here's the thing. If they would have corralled DeSantis in time, or if they still do before 2024, if they make some kind of concession with Disney or Disney holds it out long enough and keeps Disney there and they work something out, then they can keep Disney there and try to do some kind of maneuvering with DeSantis. They might be able to save it. But look, Disney brings in so much money to the state. And to sit here and make some kind of lame ass argument over rainbows. Come on, man. There's so much you could argue about with Disney that you would have a valid argument. But you're talking about rainbows? I mean, come on. We've had complaints about Disney since Britney shaved her head. Okay? There are actual legitimate complaints about Disney that we could stand up and say something about, but it has nothing to do with rainbows.
I,
And you've
I,
got families. Do we realize the evacuation of people out of Florida right now? I am seeing GoFundMe's and families and parents taking off out of Disney as fast as their money can get to them. The only people I know that are staying in Florida right now are people that either can't afford to sell their home and move at the moment, or people that haven't gotten their money together yet. Or they
well,
can't leave because they've got somebody there that's
I've
elderly,
got,
can't
I've
move,
got
things like
family
that.
down there. They're probably gonna stay, and I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it, but I don't know what to do. I asked when I was in that Republican live, I asked that particular Republican since he wanted to talk crap about all these issues. I said, "Well, please tell me, is there an area where you can go live to where you don't have to face this problem? Or is there an area where we can go live in the United States where we don't have to deal with it? Because I'm just really tired of this." And what really baffles me is why these people aren't being uh, shuffled into, help centers because they really need it.
The thing is that we're not looking at the bigger picture. As Florida is collapsing, other states are working on their own to either double down towards what Florida is doing, or they're doubling down going against it. And states are not sitting still. For example, what Arizona is doing to try to take Trump off the ballot, other states are following along with that. So what Arizona in 22 actually successfully kicked somebody off of the ballot for being there on January 6th at the Capitol. Okay. So a judge actually set precedent to do that. When he actually successfully set precedent to do that, that gave every judge in the country the hint that they might be able to keep Trump off the ballot.
Excuse me.
So that's what started that 14th Amendment hint that's been going around the country. And that was started by conservatives. After the judge kicked that one guy off the ballot, not the Heritage Foundation, the other one, the other huge one that knocked Roe
Did you
versus Wade
realize?
out.
Did you realize the Heritage Foundation is founded by Andrew Womack?
Yeah.
And
But
I did not know that. And you
the
know, I
but
met that guy, and he is, oh my God, he wears so much makeup. It's like a cake on his face. And I cannot under and he wanted you to speak in tongues. And it's like, I'm standing there and I'm trying to pray and I'm trying to be into this and it's like I don't feel this motivation to speak in tongues. I don't understand why these people are speaking in tongues. What are you
here
humming?
here's the thing though, and I want to talk about this 14th Amendment thing because somebody said they can't keep him off the ballot. Actually, voters don't have any say over who gets on the ballot. We never have. And if you actually look at what's going on and you look into your politics over the last 30 years, you will know that what I say is true. If somebody decides that somebody does not deserve to be on the ballot, they will not be on the ballot. Every state has individual and independent sovereignty over their own elections. It's one of the reasons why this whole fraud thing is basically bullshit. You can't fraud an entire election across states when each state is actually independently run by their own elections. It's not possible. And this is why Trump was never able to get away with it. So
It's not true, Bailey. I don't understand. Once
this
again,
is
I
this
don't
is what I'm talking
understand.
about. People that work in politics and have known for a long time how politics works, try to explain to people that never got into politics before Trump how politics works, how the nuts and bolts are put together. And instead of actually listening to people and then verifying their what they're saying as true, they just sit here and deny it like they're in a cult. And then they wonder why we say
But
you're in a cult.
there's no proof of that, Bailey.
So wait,
And if you can't stop quoting misinformation, I'm gonna mute you because I don't want
yo,
to hear it.
Bailey, can I say something real quick? That don't make no sense at all. So she said, "Look, I read the entry about papers dead people do not vote. How can they vote when they're up in heaven?"
So, and here's another thing that people don't understand. We have people registered to vote that have been dead for a decade. Just because you are registered to vote doesn't mean you cast a ballot. People don't realize that our voter registration system has been backlogged for decades. Why? Because neither party trusts the other one to go through and fix it. So you have people, for example, somebody that voted 50 years straight when they were alive. Nobody will take that person off the ballot or off the voter registration because the other party will accuse them of tampering with the registration system.
What do you think of Doc Holliday's comment?
So I think that what they all think about how they treat the disabled community. They never believe the disabled community when they tell you they're disabled. So when I've told people 1,000 times I have body dysmorphic disorder and I don't like looking at my face, they continue to gaslight. So that's what I think about that comment.
You want him gone?
I'm going to wait and see how he responds.
Okay.
That's pretty weird that
There
you got
is
four.
no such thing as what you're saying, Bailey. You can
And
Google
here's
what's
another
the
thing. When people register to vote, you have to understand voter registrations, you can have the same person register to vote in 6 different states. Why is that? Because nobody takes a name off of a registration. So if I live in Pennsylvania 10 years ago and I registered to vote,
Someone else uses
and then a year later I move out of Pennsylvania and move to Montana, and I register to vote in Montana. Well, when I register to vote in Montana, nobody goes back to Pennsylvania and removes my registration.
Yo, Bailey, you're
I
talking
just
about.
didn't. I just don't vote in Pennsylvania, but my registration is still sitting in there as an old
but
registration.
but
And then maybe
because
I live in Montana for 3 or 4 years, and then I move to Colorado. If I move to Colorado and I register to vote in Colorado, nobody changes my registration in Montana or Pennsylvania. It
we
still sits there. I just don't vote there because I don't live there anymore.
but
Okay?
Doc Holliday, you're assuming once again the word assume ass out of you and me that every person on this page voted for your guy, the orange muffin. We didn't. Okay, I can assure you, I didn't.
And so
I'm not gonna vote
now
for
you can
somebody
get rid
like
of
that.
Doc Holliday since he decides that we're liars.
You know,
You never call a female a liar, period. Because you'll lose.
I get so I get so confused by this. You know and what about Bailey? He's another one. Spouting off misinformation.
Yo, Bailey, so what you said in your comment, I didn't
Well,
agree.
Bailey, I just told you why there's a lot of BS because of partisan politic bullshit. I just got
But
done telling you nobody wants to go through and clean the rolls, and every single state is responsible for their own rolls. So how is
deep down,
Pennsylvania going to take somebody off of Montana's rolls when each state is responsible for their own rolls?
but
Exactly my
once
point.
again, they deny that they're a Trump supporter. so they can remain in the comments and not get muted. You know, they deny their support, and then they deflect, and this is a
Right.
common
And it's the
problem.
same thing. Here's another one they deflect on. Okay. And it's my perfect pièce de résistance to stop all the bullshit with the voter fraud. No matter what state you're in, no matter when you go to vote, whether you early vote, vote by mail, however you vote, you have to sign something. Nobody votes without a signature. Whether you walk in to vote in person and you sign your registration, or you vote by mail and you sign your envelope, if you don't put a signature, your vote doesn't count. That is the law. So,
Rosebud.
But
what?
see, they deny
No, wait.
because they want to, like I said, they deny because they want to deflect, because they want to
Swagger,
deny that
what?
they're secretly a Trump supporter.
Hang on, she's talking. I don't want to let you guys talking real quick.
What,
It's just,
Swagger?
I want to tell the haters that if they haven't been in your life since day one, to not judge how you are or how you look, because I've been here since day one. I'm pretty sure the one below me has been here since
Well,
day
baby,
one.
don't you know my pond scum theory?
Yeah.
Then don't worry about it.
Okay.
So, see, what people don't remember is when you register to vote, you get a voter registration card. When you get that voter registration card, your actual instructions when you get it, you are told to sign your voter registration card. In fact, when you register to vote, quite often, unless you do it electronically, they have you sign there as well. So your signature on record is just as good as an ID. In fact, if you actually look it up, we have convicted criminals of first-degree murder with a signature. So, that being the case, and that being the case that when you walk in to vote, or when you vote by mail, every vote gets a signature. Why is it that we should have to have voter ID, which costs people money, when you could actually verify every vote with a signature?
because once again, their orange cult leader told them to deny the vote. They can't help but deflect and deny what they're really talking about. They don't want to say that they're secretly Republican because they know that people don't want to be around them. Okay? They've learned that. They've learned that people don't want to be around them.
Right. So it all boils back to the same thing that I said it was earlier. White supremacy bullshit and a whole bunch of frickin' corruption.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've been saying that to you from the very beginning. Remember when I kept saying it and you were like, I didn't like that answer. I didn't
Well,
like that
it's
answer.
because I don't like to pit people against each other. But once I see the evidence for myself, I'm
It's
real
exactly
quick
what I
to
said.
jump on board and say, I see the evidence now. I see it for what it is. And I didn't realize that we did not just have one Black Wall Street in this country.
Oh, we've had several.
We've had hundreds.
And they've destroyed them
We've
all.
had hundreds. Every time our Black community stood in their own excellence and showed that they were capable of so many great things, we came along like a bunch of bowling balls and just knocked them down. So I refuse to allow anybody, and I don't care if they take me down to my last day, because I don't care about money. I don't care about power. I actually have a hard-on for justice.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. That's where I'm
So
at. It's-
people that think that they're going to tell me, oh, you're never going to win. Oh, it doesn't matter. You're never going to win. I don't care.
but it's the education and the chance that you could do it again and might be able to win.
And
It
actually, the more you tell me I can't win, that little craw in my jaw that tells me I just want to piss you off a little bit.
yeah. I don't like it when they say that, because I think personally that you've done a lot of work to prove that you could win. So that's how I view it, because you've really sought the education of this app and gained the experience, and you've gained the
Well,
experience
I
to
mean,
debate.
I have to say, I'm not without mistakes. I made some mistakes, but I've also asked for people to prove that I've made a mistake they said I've made that I didn't make. I have a lot of gaslighting and a lot of people that have come after me on this app for things that I've never done. And they have yet to prove that I've done it without the receipts. Now, there are things that I've had. There are people on here that have things, they're upset at me for reasons, and I acknowledge that. I get into my petty mode. There's somebody on here that is angry with me, and they have a really reason to be angry with me. But I admit to that, right? If you come at me and you say, "Hey, you did this or that," I'll admit to that, right? So I mean, I got no problems with that. But these other people that say I said the N-word when I didn't, or they're trying to say I told some woman she wasn't black enough to be black, like that's a thing. Things like that I know I never did. I've been waiting for receipts for a long time, and the only thing you got for a receipt is somebody saying I did something. You don't have me actually doing it. So if you're going to keep running your mouth for over a year about something you say I did, and I keep telling you I didn't, then perhaps you might want to get the footage and roll that beautiful bean footage and prove me
And
wrong.
not trying to interrupt you, Rosebud. And if you guys have no evidence that she said that, then why would you guys say it in the first place if it's not
I,
true?
I, I don't know, because I've even seen, I've seen the videos that have been posted with her on these
I really hope the
subjects,
person that
and they're
just
just
talked about Malcolm X is a melanated individual, because it irks me to no end that people
okay.
that look
Cool. I
like
can get rid
me
of them.
start
I can get
talking
rid of
about
them.
Malcolm. I want to wait and see if they are melanated or not,
They're
because
not.
every single time I hear someone that looks like me quote Malcolm X, I come back with this. Malcolm X did not just have words for the left. He also had words for the right. So if you're going to quote him in full and tell me what he said about conservatives.
I'm surprised they ain't on the For You page at all, because there's a lot of craziness going in the comments.
Yeah, because see, I don't know. I'm pretty, leery about that, because I've seen
We're
Russians
going to
use
wait for a minute.
people of colors pictures on here. I've seen everything on here.
Waiting for somebody that actually quoted Malcolm X so that I can shove it back in their face when they refuse to tell me what Malcolm X said about conservatives. In the same paragraph that he actually talked about leftists, he said something about conservatives. So chop chop, Mr. History Misquoter. What did he say about conservatives?
Yo, Cartman, that's not the right comment to say there, bud.
See, I don't quote Malcolm X because I'm not.
I don't
And
either,
Malcolm
because I
X's
don't know.
movement was in favor of black people because people like me were hurting his community. And he was trying to help his community know that they are better than us.
See,
So I will ask one final time for those that show their ignorance in the comments, if you're going to quote Malcolm X wrongly, I want to know what he said about conservatives. And the silence proves you don't.
Mute him.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I was like,
So I don't like talking or quoting Malcolm X because I believe, again, he was speaking for the melanated community.
Get rid of Cartman too.
okay,
Sure.
no problem.
But since you brought it up, yes, he said to be careful of liberals because we speak like we're friends, and then when we get down to it, we run like cowards or we turn in the Black community. However, what he said about conservatives is that they don't hide any of their hate. They wear their hate against the Black community like a badge of honor.
True. I would agree with that.
And they stand out and tell the Black community and show the Black community how much they hate right in front of their face. So if we're going to actually talk about those who fought for the Black community, I would strongly suggest either you vastly educate yourself or you just don't talk about Malcolm X or MLK or anybody, Fred Hampton, anybody that actually was speaking for the Black community, because it's not in our wheelhouse.
I don't know. I mean, the one thing I do know is Barack Obama, and I thought he was a wonderful human being, and I still think so. You know,
I do too, but I resist taking it personally when the Black community gives him criticism because I think he was an awesome president for everybody.
I do too. I get really hurt by that.
However, I do have to give them, I don't get to say how the Black community feels. I'm not in that community. And my feeling that any president can't only fight for part of a community or part of a country I don't get to do that, right? It's not my place because I'm not part of the BIPOC community. So even though I don't think that even though my opinion is my opinion, it doesn't count because it's not their community. And if they feel that somebody should have done extra for them, who am I to say otherwise?
Well, you know, I think I really
That's
wish.
Just how I feel. I just
really
don't
wish
feel
he had
that I have
raised
a right to say otherwise. That's all.
I really wished he had raised the minimum wage, but he had such pushback from Republicans on everything during his second half or whenever. It was impossible for him to get anything through. And I don't think a lot of people understand the racism and the letters and the abuse sent to them. I don't think they're really comprehending it. This is why Michelle is so inward since they've left the White House. It's because of the hate mail, and this got sent, on their Twitter account. This got sent, mailed to them. They got it. People don't understand that. And
we don't give them enough credit, though. I am sure the Obamas knew when they ran for office that their life was in jeopardy. You can't be Black in America and decide that you're going to run for one of the highest offices in the land and not come to some determination that your life would be in jeopardy. So and now don't get me wrong, I'm not making light of it by any means, but I think that they knew what they were getting into beforehand
I
because
just think
they're
it's
very intelligent, very bright people. And I think that they were very, very well knew.
and what really angers me the most, right, is the propaganda videos that have been on YouTube for about the past 8 to 10, well, since Obama's presidency. There's been so many propaganda movies calling him the CRIST,
Right.
and then calling her a trans woman, and they compare her fingers, right? That her ring finger is longer than her first finger. Well, once again, you know, science has me there as well.
Everybody's fingers, two other fingers, are longer than their pointer finger. What is up with that?
It's, some determination that they have made that makes you male. And this is their line of thinking behind her being trans. And I'm just like, this doesn't
Hello,
make any
Gold.
sense. It makes no sense, you know? And I compare my fingers to this character defect, and once again, I have it.
There's
And
another one
and
of those.
I don't appreciate these anti-trans comments. I have to once again say to everybody, I'll say this over and over to everybody. They have a lion, a female lion with a full male's mane, meaning she has the full male mane. She looks male at the face. And,
Look,
and
here's my thing though. There's nothing wrong with being trans. And that's what bothers me is that they're calling Michelle Michael like if she was trans, like that would be a bad thing. And that's kind of where I'm like, where do I go with this? Because I mean, other than the fact that you're misgendering somebody, right? Or that you're actually using a normal gender thing as a way to hurt somebody, right? So
well,
I
I
mean,
guess
that in and of itself, but to call somebody or say somebody is trans in and of itself isn't an insult.
Well,
So I
see,
mean,
I know this
that
younger girl at work, right? And I had to pull her aside and correct her because she was like, "Well, I'm threatened by these women," and I'm like, "Why? Why are you threatened by this? What is your malfunction? You have a size 6 figure, hair down to your rear. Why are you worried about this?" Once again, I'm dealing with two individuals on my job that are just so immature. I'm just like, what, where and how did this happen?
if
You people
people
are
really knew
adults.
how terrible they look to others when they demean people in the LGBTQ community, when they demean and mistreat people in the BIPOC community, they would think twice before they opened their mouth. Because believe me, when I hear people talk about taking the T out of LGBT, when I hear people
Um,
open up and say stupid shit, I really change my mind about that person. I will turn around and walk out of their establishment. I will think about
Rosebud.
twice about that person. I really, really, I mean, I'm serious. There are people on this app I won't give any respect to. MOD, streets. There are certain people on this app simply because of the things that they have said to other people. I would not give you, I wouldn't give you a drink of water to put a fire out on your ass. Okay?
Rosebud.
Yeah.
Can we automatically get rid of this person in the chat?
Who?
Which one? I'm
Uh,
sorry.
Kenny, Kenny,
No,
and Bunny.
no, leave them go for now.
Okay.
If they
Okay.
get on my nerves, I'll tell you to get rid of them.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No,
I,
it's all right.
I'm
Um,
just afraid of playing judgment over anybody because number
oh
one
no,
is
no, no. Let
it,
me tell you something. I get what you're saying, but I have no problem casting some fucking judgment on somebody. I got no problem. You want to be a transphobe? You want to be a homophobe? You want to be a racist fuck all bitch? I will throw my ever loving personal judgment on your shit, and I
well
don't care. Okay,
well
I don't care. People want
I
to
gotta
call me racist. Maybe I don't understand that. Maybe I don't
It's
get it.
called. It's
Maybe
called.
I need help with that, and maybe I'm just a mental
Not only
nutcase.
that,
But
Rosebud. It's called freedom of speech.
but you know what? When I hear somebody call somebody the N word, when I see a little tiny black child cry because they're afraid of the police doing something to their parent, when I hear a story about, like I said earlier, maybe a middle aged woman driving out in the middle of nowhere and gets pulled over because a cop sees a tail light out and 6 cops pull over and scare the living bejesus out of her. To
I don't
me,
know.
it's terrorism.
It is terrorism, and
And
I don't understand it. I
to
really don't
me,
understand it. I'm so
I'm
baffled.
sorry. I believe victims. I believe people when they tell me that happens, and people get so gaslit. And I don't understand why people don't believe because
That's not
if
true,
he was, it, huh?
Kenya. That's not true what you said in the comment there. She said freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech does have consequences. I will say that. You can
Oh,
say anything you want on the planet. But if you open your mouth and you say
that's true.
something to hurt somebody else, you get consequences for that. If you open
Yeah,
your mouth and you say somebody did something they didn't do and somebody else hurts them, you can be held responsible for that. If you get on the phone and tell somebody that you know is unstable, because I heard about this case, some
Uh,
girl got on the phone and told her ex to unalive himself, and then he did.
oh no, that's
She was
scary.
up on charges for murder.
damn. I didn't
Good.
realize that.
So I mean, look, this free speech is free speech. The First Amendment says that the government does not have the right to silence you. That's what the First Amendment says. It's not giving you the right. It's saying the government does not have the right to infringe on your speech. That's what the First Amendment says. And if that's the case, then so be it. You can say anything you want. But if you're in a crowded movie theater and you yell the word fire and people get trampled and unalived and there was no fire, don't be surprised if you have a lawsuit by the families of the people that got hurt. And you will not be saved from that civil lawsuit simply because you have the right to free speech.
See what they don't want to acknowledge, okay? Those two girls, and I think they're from your state, if I'm not mistaken, that were counting the vote. They were ladies of color, and it was a mother
Yeah,
and
I
a
think they were
daughter.
in Georgia. Miss
Okay.
Ruby and her mom.
Yeah, and the terrorism, the sheer terrorism, those
That's
two
what I'm
girls,
talking about. That's
two
the kind of shit I'm
women.
talking about. When you are the most powerful person in the free world and you decide to sick your cronies on an innocent black woman and her mother, you deserve to be thrown in the deepest, darkest jail in this country and for us to forget about your orange ass for a very.
I
Right.
mean, that
That is what I'm talking about right there.
those
That is
women
what
were
I mean.
they were threatened with being unalived. I mean, and it still hasn't stopped.
Not
Because to
only
me, in
that,
my to me
Tate,
in
not
my
only
mind,
that, she testified. She said, I was so scared I didn't even go out in public because I was afraid if somebody hollered my name, they would find me.
you
How
know what bothers
terrifying
me.
is that? That you
What
don't even
bothers
want to go to the grocery store because you're afraid somebody would holler your name.
well,
Oh
what
my
bothers me
God.
even more. What bothers me even more is every time you hear an election denier, that's the same for me. It's ringing the bell of white supremacy one more time because you want to deny those two ladies in Georgia. That's what you want to do. Okay. And
And
that's
here's
how
the
I
thing
see
though,
it. And
it's
everybody,
the fact that people don't know. That's what
and
that's what bothers me. That he used the propaganda that he learned about in that Mein Kampf book. He used that propaganda. And in politics, it's real easy to get these 3 or 4 word catchphrases to get people hooked on, like "Yes, we can," or "Yes, we will," right? But he used "Make America Great," right? But he used this propaganda from the time he was inaugurated. He used carnage and words like that to make people believe that there was an animosity there that wasn't, right? So he used the words of propaganda to turn people that were more liberal against people that were more conservative. And for the 4 years that he was president, all he did was talk about Democrats being the enemy. He didn't talk about other countries being the enemy. He didn't talk about certain people of a democratic nature or certain he didn't say like certain people in Antifa. He said Democrats. And so he developed this propaganda of me against you in the same country. And it's almost like he took the mechanisms of Mustache Man from World War II. And it is remarkably similar because the guy from World War II was Jewish and he dumped on his own faith,
I know that. Yeah.
used propaganda,
And it's
twisted
even
it.
worse than that because I said he's probably an inbreed because I was looking at his physical features and I noticed features. Okay, I'm a person who notice features about people, and I don't mean to be like that. I notice features and behaviors. That's just something I catch, and you know, yeah, come to find out, you can hear it on Doc Hazard's profile. Um, yeah, he was an inbreed. He was most definitely an inbreed. And
But
I
I mean,
figured something
we
psychologically was wrong.
But I
I
mean,
knew.
when we actually listen to others that talk about, the actual diatribe of gender or of race and how we came to be, anybody with blue eyes is actually perpetrated
Inbred.
from long ago inbreeding. So I
Yeah.
mean, this is something that's prominent throughout human history. But I mean, he took he took people that were together. He took a country that was solid together and he used family. He used love. He used things that were good and solid. He used that to break people apart. He used the love of a mother and a child to hurt them. He had a mother telling a child to be quiet. And so mom would get taken off to the gulag and the daughter hid in silence. The love of a couple and the love of a family, he used love and caring for each other to hurt each other. He used the things that are good in society to hurt us. And Trump has done the same thing. All the things that make society good, the differences in us, the diversity, the things that make us grow, and the things that make us strong, and the things that have brought us together, all those things that I thought that were so great 30 years ago, they're now poisoned. And now we don't trust each other anymore. We don't love each other anymore. People don't even look at me and think that I actually mean anything I say. And it doesn't even matter whether I mean it or not. They just don't believe anything. And Trump is a catalyst for that. Sure, he didn't start it. Sure, he didn't create it. But he was so money hungry and wanting power so much
He
that
want
he allowed Roger Stone and other political geniuses to take the weaknesses in our country and use it as a wedge. And
well,
now we're looking
also
at not even having a country anymore.
he ripped off the entire country. He charged up 6 trillion, 8 trillion in debt.
But
We
that's
are
just
paying.
it. The money is just a talking point.
I know, but
Honestly, I don't know anybody that if they thought that we could have peace and harmony together and have a good life in our country that wouldn't care about all the money he gripped. It's not that. Yes, that's a way for us to grab him and hold him accountable because that's the tangible evidence. But honestly, how many families he broke apart, how many children can't see their grandparents, how many people died from COVID. I mean, this is where we're at right now. And
I
to
know.
me, he's just everything he stands for has made us so far apart now.
And
And
everybody gets mad at me because, if I find out you're associating with him or anything or associating with his followers, I'm going to steer clear of you. I don't care what race or nationality you are. The fact that you're around somebody that thinks that grabbing women by the private parts is okay, I have a problem with that.
it's not
Okay?
just that, though. I mean, we all knew that locker room talk is a thing. We've all heard that
I
before, right? I mean,
I I'm tired of
I'm
it.
not giving excuses for it because if you're running for that kind of office, you should be better than that. But I mean, it's Trump. Like, we
You
don't
know,
expect that from him
just
anyway.
just
I
like
mean,
just like I have a friend on my Facebook profile, right? And all he shows on his story is women, naked or nearly naked. And I'm tired of it. I get that you want to have some eye candy and you want to look at this and this is your stimulation. Yeah, I know the whole concept women are from Venus and men are from Mars. I get it. But I am so tired of this. He's Donald Trump started that. He's the one who dumped a picture of his nude wife on the internet, and it was an old picture at that.
right.
And they all voted for their privates, if you ask me, when they voted, because they all voted and thought, well, I guess I'll get a wife like that if I vote for this man. And that's a sick line of thinking. People aren't even understanding how sick they are. It's sad.
I just, he, he basically, he made people think that they could get all their base desires for free. And when you go for all the base desires, what is left of your soul?
Nothing.
That's what I think about. If all you care about is money, if all you care about is power and how far you go in life, what does the rest matter?
Annoying progressive. I don't know why she's even with him. I don't. They're not being mad or anything, but I'm just saying. I don't know why she
He
even.
filed for divorce, didn't you know that?
She did.
She
I
went to
didn't know.
another country, moved out of the country, and filed for divorce.
Wow. I'm impressed. I don't know why she ever got with him. I don't, I will never understand that.
Oh, you
Uh,
know why. We know why. Come
the
on.
money, but I'm just sitting
Come
there going,
on.
man, yeah, I'm just sitting there going, that codependent, needy baby. Okay. And it's so apparent. Okay. Because he's always reaching out his hand to hold her hand, you know, how needy he is, and that flight over where he went to that other country and she slapped his hand away, was very evident of his codependency.
Yeah.
His deepest flaw was on stage right there for
His
everyone to
deepest
see.
flaw is his actual humanity. He has
I,
none.
I agree with you there, but I'm just saying,
I mean, the thing
yeah,
is, I mean, I just, look, I don't understand how we got to this place where people are looking at this guy and going, that's my man. That's who I want. Love that guy.
well, I mean, it's also the mysteriousness of religion involved because, I had that one coworker, right? Um, that was making all kinds of racist comments, was a Trump supporter, and his solution when I said, he might be the thing from the back of the book, and he's like, well, then Jesus comes, and I'm like, I don't think you
That
understand.
that's the other part. See, we have a theocracy going on here. They think that if we go back to the Dominion times, we will bring the coming of Jesus.
But they don't understand he doesn't come until the planet is on fire. They don't know this. It's right there in the book. Okay. I'm trying to tell you something, Rosebud. It's right there. It's deeply coded. It's a deeply coded book.
I
That I
know.
must say.
Look, here's the thing. This is what I tried to tell people. You know, I've been a Christian my whole life.
Yeah, I
I
know that.
know what that book says. The book tells us that the second coming doesn't come until the end of days.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
end of days. So you're basically, if these folks truly are asking for Jesus to come, they're asking for the end of the world.
I know that,
They're
but they
asking
don't know
for
how.
the end
They
of
don't know
this
how
realm.
deep. They don't know that they won't see him. They don't know that. You can't make any sense with
If
them.
they're asking for, and this is the problem, this seven mountain theory, this seven mountain mandate that they've been working on out of Duluth, they've been working on it, and that's it. This is why I say they don't really believe in Jesus. They have an actual theocracy. They have an actual selfishness to what they're thinking,
Yeah, I
and
know.
that's
This
not
is why.
Jesus. And so what they're thinking is, if they bring on this dominionism, if they bring on the days where they all, man, I keep forgetting about you. Drinking dog. The water bowl was empty.
Yeah.
But when they keep thinking that if they bring on this dominionism where the family's back together, women have no rights, LGBTQ and trans are annihilated, that everything is back to the family, not the life, liberty, and happiness, but life, liberty, and what ought to be in the family. That's what they want. Okay? That's what they really want. They don't want what we have now with all the freedoms we have.
But
They
they don't
want,
they don't understand they're not going to be able to complete that. Okay. We're not in those days. We're not in a time where one income is enough. They don't understand that. It takes
right.
both people working.
But if you
So
look at what the mountain men theory is and the seven mandates, entertainment, politics, religion, education. I can't remember all of them. That's just the four
I
off the
know.
top of my head.
I've
But
heard it.
if they go through all of them, if they were able, and that's what Project 25 is about.
Oh, I know it is. It's all about
Project
religious
25 is
theocracy.
about actually fulfilling the mandate.
I
Because
know.
it says right there on Project 25, we only have 2 years to get it right. So they're thinking they only have 2 years to get this mandate right to bring on this actual dominion theocracy. To do that, they would have, and this is what people hate me saying it, and I'm going to say it, even though they don't like me saying it. I'm going to say it because if I don't say it, people aren't going to believe it. To get that done, they will have to annihilate the communities in their way. And who are the biggest communities in their way? What communities are the strongest in this country that stand for themselves, don't put up with authoritative bullshit, and know who they are? You tell me.
I know, Rose. I know. I'm very
And
angry.
when I say it, people think I'm being
I know.
nasty.
We can't even talk about it because somebody will attack us for talking about it. So that's that.
So
Because
I can't say it. But when I'm telling you,
and I keep saying it, and I get hated for saying it. I'm in the same position as you, okay? Because understand, the woman I
because
confide
of what
in,
I look like, I can't
exactly
say
what
it.
exactly, because I keep saying to the ladies of color in my life, this language that I'm hearing is pretty freaking serious, and they're looking at me like you are off your rocker, and I'm not.
The
I'm like,
same thing I said that I was quoted as saying before, that people thought it was so terrible that they misunderstood what I was saying.
and they don't understand, and they
When
don't understand
democracy
how this
falls,
they don't
right?
understand how this has been festering up. There's a guy, every time I go to
But
these all night convenience stores, they've got these freaking Trump supporters, and I can't go in there anymore. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not
are
giving you
you here,
money to,
Bold? Are you
huh,
listening? I'm asking somebody if they're here. I want them to answer me if they are, if they're listening. Bold, are
generally.
you listening? Hi, Jen. Bold, do you know what I'm talking about? I can't say it,
Yeah.
but you
When do
know the communities I'm talking about
mhm.
and who will stand in that theocracy's way. The communities that are very strong in their own beliefs and strong in who they are. I know you're my friend. Bold, tell me you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the indigenous,
Yeah.
they will go after those who will not be stomped out, that will not allow themselves to be chained and restrained. They will go after those who are strongest in our country. And that is what I've been trying to say for a very long time. And instead of people understanding what I'm trying to say, they think that
Attack
I
us.
am the one that will attack.
Yeah. We have nothing
And I've
to
been
do with it.
trying to say this for a very long time. As an empath and somebody that feels it, This is what I'm talking about.
Exactly. This is exactly what I keep talking about. And everybody, calls us nut jobs for saying it.
I know my proximity to the community is dangerous simply because of what I look like and the world I live in. But I know what they're capable of now more than anything. And so when the people I care about reject me, it hurts me to the bone. Bold. That's why I'm so upset. That's why I take it so personal. Do you
Can I get rid of
understand?
it? Can I get rid of American General Nationalist?
No. I want them to hear it. I want Bold to understand what I'm talking about. I want to make sure he understands.
She didn't hide
This
her
is my
face.
faith. I showed my face to make sure that some of my friends know that I'm serious and that Bold knows I'm looking straight at him and I'm very serious. The reason my emotions get out of control is because of the emotional conflict between the people I care about that don't care about me caring about them, and that I
Yeah.
have a really hard time putting those things together.
Yeah, it's true. I get it
Because
too.
I couldn't care less what those that don't care about humanity think. I could fight 1,000 hateful people because I know they don't care about other people.
What gets me is they don't understand, you know, how this is going to work. Okay, and what Trump has got you doing. He's got you hating the people coming from the border. Then he'll have you hating different colored communities, and it's just going to keep going down a list till he hates you. Okay,
And this
till
is
it's
not,
you.
I want to make sure people understand this is not because I don't think that other communities are strong. It's not because I don't think other communities can fight or that somehow they need me. It's
And I
actually the opposite.
and and,
It's
and
it's because I think that these communities will fight with every ounce of their being, with everything they have.
I don't know who you are, Susan, and I do you know this person, Susan? No bio.
Um, if they're being nasty with no bio, they can get removed.
I got rid of them because I ain't dealing with it. I ain't hearing it. You know,
Um,
because
but this is why. It's not that I don't think that the communities we're speaking about can't defend themselves.
I don't
By
think
and
that
large,
either. But
that's not what I believe. But
I just feel
remember,
like they're being
when this
blindsided.
country, when Turtle Island was occupied, those same communities were proud and beautiful, and they still were annihilated. We have to stand up and understand what's going on, even if I can't be there because I'm dangerous to the community. I need them to understand what I see.
I just feel like a lot of people don't want to accept that you and I have got alarm bells going off, and we're tinging 90 miles an hour from this type of talk. And they
Their
don't like,
community has alarm bells going off too. I just don't think that we're seeing the same thing. I think they see it in a more systemic way, and I see it in a more apocalyptic way. And I'm
because
saying it will take more than just their community. It will take other people that care about humanity to stand. And I'm not saying we have to stand beside each other. And I'm not saying we have to trust each other like that. Because there are many, many people that look like me that are not trustworthy, and I wouldn't trust anybody with my complexion farther than you can see me. But not all of us want to see annihilation.
I don't want to see something like that. And I feel like, I feel like people don't understand. They don't understand. They don't understand the right doesn't understand the danger of their talk, and we the left don't understand why they keep saying dumb shit.
No,
We
I
just don't.
understand. The dumb shit they say is fed to them with a spoon.
Yeah, but I don't understand why they would follow this shit. Because
Because,
the
look,
stories this
if
man
you
tells
the thing is,
is.
though, you got to understand, he gave them what they were waiting for. And it's
Oh, I
not
know
Trump
that.
because he's not smart enough, but he had genius political ideologists like Roger Stone and Paul Manafort and other people that knew the time was right. They knew what to say, how to manipulate the population. They knew there were a number of people in this country that had been lied to by politicians for so long that they would be able to give them answers to problems that they would just suck it up. They knew that. These guys working in politics, Roger Stone, by all intents and purposes, even with his stupid ass Nixon tattoo, is considered a genius in politics. Okay? Trump couldn't tie his own shoes without taking his diaper off. All right? Let's be for real. These guys actually guided him, boosted his ego, rubbed his teeth the right way, and got him to where he is. And once he got there, he grifted the entire country to where the rest of us on the other side saw him exactly for what he is. But we have to understand it wasn't that hard. He's been grifting the guys that wear those cement shoes and push people over the edge of the pier in New York for a very long time.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know that. I agree with you there. And never mind the people that kept showing up to his events at the White House. If you'll remember, they really well, just put it to you like this: they would be known as people that would cause trouble if you saw them in certain areas. Just saying.
And those same people that gave him influence in New York also connected him to those other people that wear cement shoes in Moscow
Yeah, you're right
and
about that
helped
as
him
well.
with the compromat, helped him with they were making plans on a tower in Moscow. And of
Okay.
course, These guys know how to rub those guys the right way to get them to tell them anything they want. And then you have, the bank that gave him all the loans that he needed, Deutsche Bank,
Well,
you
you
know,
had another
the
bank just
trail,
recently.
and then you have all those visits to Epstein Island he took. You
Oh
have
yeah, don't
the
get me
Michael
started there.
Cohen lied and went to jail for lying on how many trips that Trump actually took for Trump to Moscow. So there was a trail before he ever became president.
Oh, I know. It
So,
was all
but
paid off and gotten
because
rid of.
he knew what to say to people and he knew how to become a populist instead of a good politician, he used his actual fame in his Apprentice show, and Vince McMahon helped him to actually get. Who are you talking to, April?
Yeah,
But
really.
he used Vince McMahon and those people to actually help him learn how to get the crowd going, how to get people going, things like that.
Can I ask you a question?
Hmm.
What was there anything between you and Canapolis 69?
Huh?
There's one person on here, and she sent me a message. And see, Thomas is back. Got a car pick this time. Little relentless, aren't you? What do you want to do with him?
Who are you talking about? Carapolis? What?
I'll ask you later privately. Thomas is back. What do you want to do with him?
I don't know if that's the same Thomas. Um,
Yeah.
no, you got my
Yeah, you're
OCD
right.
going now. Who are you talking about?
Um, I have a person in here that said something, and I'll have to tell you privately who it is. You know, they're not in here, but I don't want to say anything. You know, I'd rather come to you privately on it. I think they left, so I don't know. Just weird shit.
Was it Chaos?
No, no, wasn't her. No,
Because she has a name like that. It's like Chaotropolis or something like that.
I don't know. I'll tell you later. Because they
You
put
don't know
laughing
how
emo-
bad OCD is, do you?
they put laughing emojis, and I don't know what that means. I was confused, and I left the comment there when I saw it. You know, and and the only thing, and I get you might not want to accept uh things. You know, I run into that a lot, that people don't want to accept the information. Okay, that there's this plot, and that
Yeah, I don't
you
worry about what other people think. Not
you
really.
know I and I try to I'm trying to coexist with these people, you know. Um,
Um,
but
you mean the people that when I'm in?
no, I'm talking in general, just in life and life's terms. You know, you have people in your life when you tell them that there's this plot and that there's this book, and it's 900 pages, and you know, they don't want to accept the information that this is really happening, you know, and I don't know what to say, because it's like, okay, you know, I I don't understand. I'm confused, you know, and I know where the confusion comes from. A lot of this confusion comes from the church, because the church isn't
Right.
even it's not preaching the right message. It's preaching dump the dog turd and give me some more money. It's very, very few that are preaching the truth, and very few that are going to tell you that spaceship is not coming to pick you up. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
That there's no spaceship coming to pick you up to take you out of your troubles. I wish it was going to happen. I
Where's the
mean,
spaceship, man?
well, that's their interpretation of Jesus coming in on the clouds, you know,
Oh,
and this
that was cute.
and this
Uh,
theory and belief that they're going to be whisked away and not experience any of this. And I'm just like, scratching my head going, no, because like,
well,
I had to explain to that young girl I knew, I didn't see or find anywhere that the spaceship was coming to pick us up.
you know what? And when it comes to the youngins, the first thing I do is just give them advice. And hopefully they take it as an older person. When they start asking me questions, then I go into depth.
Yeah.
Because sometimes as an older person, they don't want to hear anything you got to say. So why get
Yeah,
into depth unless they're actually going to listen?
I'm like you. I give them short, quick term of advice, but then, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, and they believe, and you got to kind of bust their bubble, if you will, and say, this part is not going to happen.
Don't get me wrong now. Sometimes they surprise the fuck out of me. Don't get me wrong. Once in a while, I'll be like, damn, they really wanted to know some shit because I've been in, well, I haven't been in it lately, but I've been in some, areas where people ask me questions. I'm like, okay, the kids are really wanting to know. And we've been in like these chat rooms in, I forgot the other app, what the name of it was off the top of my head. But I mean, I've been in like some really long conversations with these kids about like history and what it's about, and what's going on and where we're going and what I know. And they're like, tell me more. And I'm like, wow, you kids are really wanting to know stuff. And I tell them, because if you really want to know, I want to tell you, you know?
I will tell you, I'm like that too. I will gladly share the information, but the hardest information for people to accept, is that they've been fed this malarkey from the church, and it really makes me mad. I'm really angry with them, and don't think I didn't go to Andrew Womack and want my healing. I did. I had a very bad wrist problem. This was the start of my disabledness. It started with the ovarian tumor, and
Mm-hmm.
then I had rheumatoid arthritis in one wrist, and it was excruciating pain. I can't tell you how many times I
Oh,
wanted to.
baby, I'm sorry. That sucks.
I can't imagine what he actually went through. When I think about just one of my wrists, okay, I can't imagine because the nail went through the two bones that split, not the wrist.
Man, you're hurting my brain talking about that shit. Oh.
You know, and that's what people don't understand when they talk about this whole subject. You know, and so they don't even acknowledge what he really suffered. Whipped to absolute death, and then that happened. And I can't even look at them things. Okay, when I see them things, I'm offended by it. Okay, I really am, because they still use that practice over there, and over in the Middle East. They do it to the LGBTQ, okay? Which we are past ancient times of doing that kind of dumb stuff. And I'm not wearing that thing or having it anywhere in my house as a reminder.
Thing is, we're here in this country, we're supposed to be better. And what pisses me off is that the church um, pretends to be better, and they're not. And I mean, I've uncovered some subreddits where they've actually conspired and made plans to unalive trans people. And they've made plans to unalive people in my party, that are supporting trans people. So I've seen some pretty heinous stuff come out of church and the people at church. And I've come to the conclusion that the church at large in America and the Christian church does not care about the people in the church. And they don't care about the souls of America. And even though I am still a Christian, I don't believe in the church. Now, are there little churches around here that do good things? Are there little churches that help feed the hungry and help house the poor? Yes, I do believe that. But in the big conglomerate of what the church has become today, that I no longer believe in, because of conversion therapy, because of the thousands of children that have been SA'd and the SAM insurance that is going throughout the churches today,
And they
because
don't want to
of
pay.
what I've seen, because of my true belief, and because of what the church is doing today. I'm sorry. I do not believe your funky ass anymore when you sit there and try to blow that sunshine up my ass. And I am just a crazy
Exactly.
ass bitch that's been a Christian for 50 years that will call you out on that shit. And you better
I,
hope I don't get to Washington, because then I'll have a national fucking voice to it.
I just don't get it. This guy, like in my union group, posted this picture of a wolf with makeup on it, and the caption read, something, reading to your children. And I just said, I said a few things. I don't like you posting stuff like this. And then I finally just said, this is pure small cucumber energy. Because you can't, you can't say anything else or you'll get banned. You'll get in trouble. And so that was it. I just said small cucumber energy. I'm just like, wow. And then he ended it by saying, well, you don't care about what I'm saying. And that's when I laughed. And I was like, because what you're saying is ridiculous,
Yeah,
and the fact that you're bringing,
I'd be like, no, I don't care what you're saying. No.
and the fact that you got to bring this up, and people don't understand. Electricians actually run a lot of pipe. We run a lot of pipe for electrical work. So, you're running around with a 10-foot stick of pipe. You can bend it and make it into different shapes and stuff like that. And for a guy to sit there and make any kind of comments about being ultra male, you're just like looking at him, and you got a pipe bender and you can bend pipe. You're looking at him like, wow, what in the world? What in the world is this? This guy coming up to me with this small cucumber energy. Which mommy set him free?
You should see people on here have been sharing that 900-page manifesto, I guess you'd call it, from the GOP, and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, guys? If you want me in Washington, you got to help me, because my fundraising is rock bottom. Because I'm not a corporate shill. I just had that GC, whatever they are, come at me and try to offer me help, but every time I saw an advertisement, all they were doing is praying, and I can't go with that. If
No.
that's the only people that are going to help fund me, I might as well not get there. I've been
No.
telling people to go to Justice Democrats and actually recommend me, so maybe I can get some help with them. But it's just good guys rarely win, and I'm in an 18-point Republican district, but people are ready to hear the truth. They're tired of having bullshit shoved up their ass.
I know I'm ready to hear the truth. You know, I don't like the lies.
And I really just think that's basically what it is. And I can't. So I think somebody's in the requests.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No,
Ooh.
you're on. And or two people are in the requests.
Yep, and I accepted one. I'm fixing to it. Wait a minute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've just come to say hi. It's safe
Hello.
space here. It seems to be less arguments and less trying to talk people that a circle's a square. And it does my head when you talk on some of these political things where they'll bring in someone into the live and it's just diabolical.
Hola,
Yeah.
¿cómo estás? Hola,
Well, a
Rosebud.
lot of people don't agree with me, so it might get hinky. We'll have to see.
Yeah, but you'll be basing your things around facts and details and knowledge instead of
I try.
some cult leader's explanation. There's a difference.
I really do try. I am a Christian. I just believe in science at the same time. So
Yeah.
people will ask me why I'm a Christian, and I'll say I was indoctrinated, and I do believe in the love of Jesus. So let's just let it at that.
Yeah.
There's a difference, you know.
How do you feel about America's nationalist? Because his comment says, "Rosebud, you aren't the truth."
Well, you know what? The way the other side talks about, you know, alternative facts, maybe they don't know what the truth is.
They invented the word alternative facts when they had the inauguration photo, which was photoshopped. I'll never forget that. It's staggering.
Yeah.
And
No,
they might have missed it earlier when I said, when people that I admire or I care about come at me with false accusations, it might hurt my feelings and I might get emotional about it. But when people that don't care about humanity come at me, I'm actually quite the viper. You might want to watch out.
yeah. I'll stop trying to convert or get them to even deal with facts for a while because I thought about it for a while, and as I've said this quite a few times, it's like teaching a 4-year-old algebra and then getting upset with the 4-year-old when they don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Well,
It's not.
yeah.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Although I would say that I bet you there are teachers out there that could teach a toddler algebra. There are some teachers. I have seen some remarkable teaching skills in my time. You know, what do I think that they would keep it and grasp it? Probably not. But I bet you there are a few teachers that could actually sit down with a toddler in a matter of 10 or 15 minutes and teach them something that could actually show you algebra.
I get lost with the lack of facts, and I'm not sure what you can say when you constant accusations with nothing back behind it. And if it is religion and you do have a blind faith and a blind belief, so be it. That's up to every individual to decide.
I think we can believe in a higher power as long as we don't try to denigrate what somebody else believes in. I think that's really what it is. Like I tell my agnostic and atheist friends, as long as you who do not believe in religion don't try to dictate how I should have faith,
Yep.
then we are good, right?
And it's like,
And I admit that my faith has a base in mythology, and that there's really, it's a belief.
yeah,
It's not a science.
no,
If we can come to that conclusion and agree, you can allow me to have my belief in peace.
yep,
Therefore, I don't try to, I don't believe in evangelicalizing. I don't believe in disturbing others' peace with my beliefs. If I'm not hurting others, then, and nobody should try to hurt my belief. That's what I believe. So,
but that's the same. So I'm not religious at all. My best mate in Tennessee, who I've been over to see twice, he's heavily religious. And it's the same with religion. It's the same with trans. It's the same with being vegan. You do you. I will not tell you how to do you, and you do not tell me how to do me. And as long as there's no judgment or hatred for the other person for their belief, what I find mainly with vegans is they will try and make me be vegan. They'll want to talk about being vegan the whole time. And it's just like, I don't want to be vegan, but you be vegan. I do not care. You be religious. I do not care. I will not ask you to justify your religion, and just let me not be religious.
and I think really the problem with religion is it got off to a bad start from the beginning, right? I mean, crusades and
Yep.
Inquisition. I mean, come on now. You're going to tell me that you believe in someone that loves and gives us kindness and grace and healing and neighborly and tells us to give all we can and turn the other cheek, and we're going to lead that up with massacres and war and,
Yeah.
and annihilation? Come on now. Don't tell
That's
me that you really love me and then hate me at the same time, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, that's really what it all boils down to. So, I mean, you can't speak how they used to say, you can't speak with a forked tongue and then expect people to trust you.
Yeah. I find that the really ones that do push religion, the only issue I have with them, is, apart from pushing religion, is they seem to be very selective on what the Bible says, and they will take the bits out of it that they want and sort of leave and forget about the other bits they don't want to. I've got no worry with people being religious and want to be better for being religious and want to treat people better and have some sort of understanding that when it's all over, they end up in a nice place or they end up in a bad place depending on how they've acted whilst they're here. And you can do that well and good. But the people that push religion, and you see this with a lot of the Trump supporters on TikTok, some of the videos we see, which are heavily pushing the religion on everyone else in part of their policies. And that's where I think the line gets very blurred and is not quite correct, where half the country may be religious, half the country may not be religious, but policies will be based on religious opinions.
Shoot, on some of these MAGA's lies where I've read some of the parts of the Bible where it says that you should help the poor and feed the hungry here, and some of them have even called me woke for that.
Yeah. If
Well,
you can
didn't
take,
you hear recently there were a bunch of churchgoers that got mad at their pastor because Jesus is too nice?
yeah,
I'm like, really?
For me, I can't accept them telling everybody what to do. You know,
yes,
it was like I went into this MAGA live where the guy was, really transphobic, and the key point was he hadn't had any children, and I was like, when you have some children, then get back to us. But until that point, quit telling everybody what to do with their children because you don't freaking know.
yeah. And that's a very difficult thing, I think, with the abortion side of things, where that's them sort of putting their religious beliefs on you and forcing their religious beliefs on you, where I think every woman should have the opportunity to make the decision for herself. Not 99% of women that do make this final choice struggle with the decision. It's not automatically, I'm just going to go get an abortion because it's the easiest thing to do.
You ever try to play logic with these pro forced birth people?
Yeah. No,
When they try to say that some women use birth control, we use abortion for birth control.
yeah, absolutely not not even a
Here's a
possibility.
killer with that. So to make the logical argument that a woman uses abortion for birth control, that would have to mean that a woman would be acknowledging at the time she has sex,
Yep.
number one, that she knows she's going to conceive, that she knows whatever birth control she might be using, if she's using any or a condom, that it will break or it will not work. And that at that time, of the time that she is actually engaging in sex, that she premeditatedly plans on having an abortion upon conception.
Yes. But
So
these nut
you're actually trying to say that she is planning on doing all that ahead of time to
to
try
go
to
through.
say that
Yep.
she's using abortion as birth control. So that is how ludicrous that is. Now, could I say that some women don't think ahead? They're irresponsible. You
Careless,
know,
lazy.
I could go that way. I could say
Yep.
some women might be addicted to drugs or alcoholics. Some women may not consider that they would get pregnant. Some women
Yep.
might not think about it. Some women may have multiple abortions because of those factors. But you can't jump to the conclusion because of those factors and then say she's using it as birth control.
Yeah, and then you've got half the nutbags thinks it's quite regular for abortions to happen at 9 months through the lady's choice of saying, I don't want to have this kid anymore. And they think that's the
Right.
real thing that happens.
And to be honest with you, there were a time before abortions were legal when you had some heinous things going on because you had doctors under the table that were doing things that were very, very unethical, right? So back before 74, we did have that, and you will see that again if they
You
do
will.
a national abortion ban, which is what they plan on if they win in 25 or 24.
It'll be backyard procedures.
Right. And so that was something. I do recall a court hearing I saw where they were actually having late term abortions and then the life was not extinguished yet and they would put it in a dark room and just let it pass.
Mm-hmm.
So there are horror stories and terrible things that used to happen. Somebody's in the request. But those days are far gone. Because you no longer have doctors that will do late-term abortions. You no longer have doctors that will go to that extent without some type of medical predisposition necessary.
The baby's got to be already deceased, or the mum will be
Well,
deceased by giving birth.
right. If it's after 21 weeks, it's considered a premature birth, and they try to save the life.
Yes.
So it's not considered an abortion. And when they do consider it an abortion at that time, it's because the doctor or the obstetrician or somebody found a fatal problem.
Yes. No
Either
chance of life.
she is going to be unalived if she continues to carry, or the life inside her is going to be unalived. There's a massive problem.
Yep.
That is the reason why those things are done. And there are only, when I looked it up, there's only 3 doctors in all of the United States that will actually perform a late-term abortion under a hospital supervision. They have to be called in from out of town.
Yep.
So these are not actual things that happen anymore. And the right to life people or the pro-forced birth people try to make these things out to be something that happens constantly
all the
because
time.
we don't want women to have their own choices. It's
Well,
a
they
power
work on fear.
struggle.
They work on fear, and that's their news channels work on fear. So if they've got news channels telling them all day to be fearful of this, and everything else, they're very fearful people.
Right. And the thing is, it's all based on white supremacy.
Yeah.
Because when you're actually forcing women not to have their own body autonomy, you can actually take that, what we're doing to YT women today, and you can go back 100 years to when they would hold women of color down forcibly and actually do things to them without anesthesia, without knocking them out, to actually experiment on them to see what their insides were like and how they could actually do things. So, I mean, this is just a continuation of what we used to do and what we used to do to torture women.
Yep.
So the idea that we don't know what this country is capable of and what this country will go back to if we allow it to, we know.
And it does make world news. I'll
And
give
what
you that much.
here's another sad thing, and I'm gonna express this. This is a sad thing. You know, I have to tell young girls, you know, between the ages of 20 and 40 years old, okay, I have to tell them, stay away from white men and stay away from them and don't put yourself alone with them. This is the advice as a grandmother I have to give these young girls, okay, as a result of as a result of who they voted for in 2016.
Yep.
Now,
Because
I do want to say something here. While I always try to be as anti-racist as possible, I will say this. As a woman in America, I trust no man until he shows me he can be trusted.
Exactly.
Period. That
Exactly.
goes
And
across all racial lines.
I have to tell these girls, you know, you have to guard yourself. You can't be alone. You know,
And
you
I
need to buy.
absolutely hate saying that because when you look at the statistics, by far, SA and rape are committed by the Caucasian community.
Exactly.
However, it does happen across racial lines.
It does.
So I do tell women, it's all men until it's no men.
You know, I have to tell them. I have to tell them to prevent rape by this weapon.
And
Don't be
I
alone.
will boost the comment. Yes, you have to be wary of everybody. There are wicked women out there too. And that is a good point. Thank you, comments, for bringing that up. There are women out there, not only women that will SA or grape somebody, but also women that will help men do the same.
Yeah, there's been many a wives to do crazy junk like that.
So
You're right
for
about that.
even though I say it's all men until it's no men, you watch your back, you watch your six, and you take care of business when you've got to.
But the problem is that's going to make these ding dongs more violent because they're already becoming more violent because nobody will talk to them anyways.
I am hearing
I think things will calm down after we get rid of, if or when we get rid of all of the anti-American fascist and supremacy things that are going on, when or if that happens. Because a lot of the things that are going on in our country are because of abuse, because of supremacy, because of people suffering, because of no hope.
I have heard since Tiny Hands has been around that there is definitely a mindset change through a lot of the women that I've spoken to on here. with how safe they feel now.
Right. We do need to watch all men. Like I said, when you look at
See,
statistics,
I gotta get rid of this. I'm not dealing with this. Nope. He's got to go.
and yeah, I wasn't talking partisan. I got news for you. Nasty men who commit crimes against women or others that commit sexual crimes at all, they go across all partisan lines as well as all races. Okay? Criminals are criminals. The idea that we're going to put criminals in some type of box is insane.
True.
Just like we try to blame the trans community on perverts that sneak into bathrooms, those aren't the trans community. Those are criminals using the trans community as an excuse. Get it right. Or don't mention it.
Did you hear about the police officer in Colorado here, the one that put the person in the back of their car that got hit by a train and got killed or
I
unalived?
did hear about that. I didn't hear a lot about it, but I did hear about it.
He got sentenced to 30 months of probation and 100 hours of community service just for that.
Oh my God!
For doing what? What happened?
So this police officer
had somebody handcuffed in the back of their car and then left the car on the train tracks.
And the train came by and hit the police car and unalived this person.
And he got 30 hours community service.
He's got 1,000 hours of community
service. Ending immunity or ending automatic immunity is one of the things on my campaign.
That's horrible.
That's why I say all cops are bastards.
Yeah, ACAB is also something I believe in. All cops are bastardized. It's not that they're bad people. They work under a bastardized system that does not treat everybody equally.
It's a pretty broad statement, though.
No, listen. That here in the States,
yep,
this is true. I didn't say they were bad people. I have spoken to many police officers, good people, who quit being police because when they tried to do the right thing, they didn't have backup. Their life was put in jeopardy. There's a bastardized system in this country, and we have to actually say so and speak up on it when we know it exists. Yes, there's good people that work as police, but they are stuck in a bastardized system that does not allow them to be equal, to allow them to actually give out justice in equality, that does not allow them to treat everybody equal. Until that is fixed, we have to stand up and say, all cops are bastardized in the United States.
Rose,
that's just the way it is.
I sent you a rose, by the way. I sent you a rose, by the way. I just sent you a rose. Yeah.
It's just like that cop that was laughing.
That's what we have to say. We just have to do that. It's not something that we can slip by. And it doesn't matter if somebody likes me. It doesn't matter if they think that my personality grinds them or gets on their nerves. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's true. 100%.
It's just like that officer that was recently laughing at the fact that this person was ran over by a police officer at 75 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone here, and freaking he was caught on camera laughing about it, saying, "Oh, she wasn't that important anyways, and we could just cut her family a check."
Well, what state was that in, mate?
I had to look it up here. I made a video on my profile, but it's all over TikTok.
Yeah.
So let's turn this a little bit on its side. So everybody thinks corporations should be able to break the rules.
No.
No.
Rules are rules, laws are laws.
Right. So, but we have a whole bunch of people in this country that are so happy that under Trump they had more money in their pockets, right? And that's
I completely.
because Trump made it possible for these corporations to bend the rules.
He did. We took away all the regulations. And of course, some of these corporations, I think they're going to have more money because what he did with your tax cuts and what he did to your national debt. It's quite easy. He raised your national debt by 6 to 7 million. I'll give a little bit of that to COVID. But it's
And
like
so
me going,
this
it's
is
like me
something
going
I
to get a
often
home loan.
ask people when we talk about politics.
Yeah.
And they want to go back to the Trump days. And I ask them, how much is your soul worth?
Their perception that the economy was good under Trump is a false assessment. The economy needs to be looked at on a worldwide scale. And the rest of the world was doing really well then. So, of course, America's doing really well at the same time. Over that period of time, he gave 2% to the top taxpayers off, which cost your country $4 trillion. He raised the national debt by $6 to $7 trillion. It's like me going to get a $500,000 home loan and coming home and spending that over a year and saying, wasn't the economy fantastic? Look at all this money I had in my pocket. He raised a massive debt in the process. And basically what's then happened is...
you have a very good point about debt, but let's even carry that further. See, what people don't realize is the administration that stands carries over in their policy until the next administration changes how it rock and rolls.
Yeah.
So all of the actual things that Trump changed, like Trump actually erased our entire amnesty, or our entire what's it called when we come to the border, and asylum. Trump erased our entire asylum program when he was in office. So all those people that came to the southern border when he was in office and were seeking asylum, all those 4 years, all that backed up asylum paperwork because we had no asylum program. What happens to all those people that were seeking asylum? All that paperwork gets laid at Biden's lap whenever he gets into office. So not only does Biden have border issues normally when he gets into office, he has 4 years of asylum issues that he has to deal with left by Trump because Trump actually erased the asylum program. So that in and of itself would cause at least 2 years of massive issues at the southern border. And that actually means that Biden had to rewrite the entire asylum program from scratch.
That's what they don't understand. They don't understand that the tax cuts he gave continue on through Biden years. So it's not just the $4 trillion he gave away during his presidency. It's every presidency thereafter until they change the tax laws again. It's what he did with the pullout of Afghanistan. That ended up in Biden's pockets because Trump negotiated with the Taliban before pulling out. But Biden's the one who's got to wear it all, answer it all, and they say Biden's handling of the Afghan.
Let's even add some more to that because I love this conversation. You know what else happened when Trump got rid of the asylum program? He put in the program. Actually, Stephen Miller helped him implement this doll baby. He put in a program where he pulled babies from their mother's bosom at the borders.
Yeah.
And did it so spectacularly bad that we still have hundreds and hundreds of babies and children here in America, and their parents got deported. And we have not been able to reunite these families.
There's so much damage.
Not only that, we have lawsuits from women who had surgery done to them against their will at the border because they were sterilized against their will under Trump.
They're not going to get it,
No.
and they never will.
So Trump actually not. So when we talk about all the mess that you're trying to hold Biden accountable for after 3 years, we actually got to realize that Trump left Biden with an erased amnesty program, ripped babies away from their parents and deported the parents and left the children, and forcibly sterilized women at the border that were seeking assistance.
What's that noise in the background?
It is
Maggie,
MAGA
what are you doing?
Slayer.
Sorry, I was washing my hands.
Oh, no worries.
Just mute, baby.
But no, Rose is exactly right. Like, yesterday, this weekend is Mexican Independence Weekend, and I was at the Mexican Independence Party out here in my city, and freaking, I was passing out flyers because September is also it's also Suicide Awareness Month. So I was passing out information. I was passing out information at a booth there yesterday, and an older gentleman, maybe in his late 60s, early 70s, was wearing one of those red hats, "Make America Great Again," at a Mexican Independence Party, and I was kind of dumbfounded at first.
Was he there waiting for JFK to turn up?
I'm not sure.
No, here's the kicker on that. Not only do they think that JFK Jr. is going to show up, they think RFK is a Democrat.
Well, I got a question here for Igniter. Since you made the comment to Alien, they're worried about other babies, not ours. I'm confused. What seems to be the trouble with your baby, Igniter? I mean, what seems to be the trouble? I mean, you can put your child in private school if you don't like the teachers. You can make the changes needed to take care of your children away from everyone else. You could homeschool them. I mean, there's so many options, yet you want to get on here and tell everybody what to do with their children. Do we have that correct?
It would be. And the funny thing is, Trump gave away all the COVID plans or all the infectious disease plans Obama had in place as well. But that's a whole nother story.
He sold that crap and pocketed the money. Stu, he sold it. Let's not even lie. He sold it to the people who make this app. That's where he sold it to. If you were like me, you saw the videos 2 months ahead of time before it came to the United States, and you were like wondering what the hell is going on. You got people screaming and crying on their balconies because they're locked in their apartments. And it was all over Instagram before it came to the United States. So don't tell me that Orange Muffin didn't know it was coming, because it was out there. I saw it 2 months before it came to the United States.
Yep. 1.3 million deaths later, but that's okay. We won't talk about that. What I find horrifying is that he did all of this in his first 4 years, when he should have been on his best behavior, thinking that if I'm really good, I get another 4 years.
And
Could you
here's another
Exactly.
imagine?
kicker to that.
Could you
They think
imagine the
he would have done
damage?
so good another 4 years. He was
No,
planning out on us pulling out of NATO.
yeah. Now you imagine the damage he would do if he got back in thinking I've only got 4 years left and I don't get another 4 years. The damage
If
will
he would have
be
pulled out of
insurmountable.
NATO, we would be at World War III right now.
Yeah,
So
this is where if you didn't help Ukraine, China would watch and so the world doesn't care. We're taking Taiwan. Japan is automatically in with Taiwan, and then you guys are in, and it's World War III.
Thank you.
exactly.
But
And here,
yes, and here,
and
for those MAGAs in there that don't believe me, here's how we would have been in World War III. Trump pulling us out of NATO would have left NATO at least half as weak as it is now. And actually, us pulling out of NATO would have left Ukraine vulnerable. And Russia, who's been planning a new USSR for a very long time, would have came in and completely annihilated Ukraine. And them actually annihilating Ukraine, getting all the new oil and all the resources out of Ukraine, would have actually given them the power to actually attack Poland, which is right on the other side of Ukraine. Poland is part of NATO. And if they hit Poland, whether we're in NATO or not, that makes NATO go to war against Russia. And even though you little darlings think America first is America best, World War I and World War II might disagree with you because we never, ever get to stay out of a war that goes to Europe. Never. We always end up sucked into it. In fact, we get sucked into it at the cost of very, very many precious lives. Because in World War II, before Pearl Harbor, we had boats of Jewish folks that came over here pleading for mercy, pleading to come here for asylum, knowing what was waiting for them in Germany. They came here asking us in all of our wretched, putrid knobbery, and we turned them away.
That's what I was fixing to say.
We turned them away. And you know what happened because we turned them away? They burned. We and our white supremacy thinking that we are so much better than everybody else. We ended up costing them. And then we have so much chutzpah and hubris to wonder that we didn't deserve.
It's
Really?
uneducation. It's an uneducation of the whole Ukraine thing that is incredible. 'Cause I'll just break down some facts for anyone who actually cares, and I'll keep this as concise as possible. The US apparently giving 3% of your defense budget to Ukraine. Okay,
Blue.
that money does not go to anywhere else. So if you don't give it to Ukraine, it's not going to your healthcare. It's not going to this or that. It's just a defense budget spend.
And
And
that's another thing. I've had this argument with them as well. In
Yep.
America, our budget is in two different buckets. And these buckets never touch each other. On an emergency basis, I think there is some kind of a diversion that we can do, but it never goes that way. Okay. I think we've done it like 6 times in all of American history. We have our domestic spending bucket. And this is where all of our budgets from our domestic stuff, this is where our medical, our health care, food stamps, roads, bridges, all of our spending goes in our domestic bucket. Over here is our military and our foreign spending bucket. This is where we send money to for other countries to help them. We use it for military spending. We use it to make equipment, to sell equipment, and thus defense spending and things like that. This bucket
while we're
here,
talking,
and this bucket here, they never actually meet. So the
And what
idea that what we send to Ukraine would ever come over here, that's not how it works.
and while we're talking about spending here, last week the Republicans came back from vacation here, and while they were on vacation, they yelled on the top of mountains, "What about the help for Maui?" The very first thing they
Yeah.
do when they come back in office, instead of creating a bill to help out Maui,
Instead of
we're
helping
going to
Maui like
open
good Americans,
we're going to open up a impeachment inquiry against Biden with no
Yep.
evidence. What they do instead, on top of that, is now they are investigating Biden's actions for
they
Maui.
do. They do.
And there is
But what
still no bill that they have created to help the people of Maui. They are all talk and no walk.
Mm.
So
But
let's talk about Maui since we have some mega morons here.
Can I just cover one last thing, Rose, before we go to Maui?
Go
Sure.
ahead,
I just want
Craig.
people to know that 95% of what you're sending Ukraine, of your 3% budget, is old equipment that you guys will never, ever use ever again. You're not sending them money. You're sending them equipment, as Australia has done, outdated equipment that is not good enough for your armed forces that are valuable to the
And
Ukraine people.
and could you tell me, please, what who has the power of the purse under the U.S. Constitution?
The House of
Government
Representatives.
through the House.
So actually, is Biden sending anything anywhere?
No, but he should, but he isn't. He doesn't have the power to.
Right. So the only ones that have the power to send money to Ukraine is Congress.
Yep. But what you've done too is you've incredibly weakened Russia without having one US troop at risk. You've weakened your biggest adversary in the world without having one US troop at risk, sending them equipment
And,
you will never use. And that's not an acceptable
and
policy.
here's an analogy. Okay, here's something weird. Okay, if you remember when Donning, if you were on Facebook, this was before TikTok, the violent videos coming from the right. One of them, the guy said, "I for him to be my president because he's God," as he was screaming it to an Oriental person, shouting on the beach, and then right, and they were beating each other up on a football field in the snow. And I got a coworker who happens to be a little bit Russian, and I asked him, I said, "Are they really that violent over there?" And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Wow, that's strange.
Mm.
That is really strange."
So actually, every single
people.
piece of equipment.
I go, Rose. I'll listen in the background, but appreciate you letting me in.
Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for coming.
Stay safe,
Hi,
everyone.
Joe.
Good morning. Oh yeah, good morning. I'm just listening, guys. Go ahead.
No problem. So actually, everything we send to Ukraine is bipartisan through Congress. Now, back over to Maui. I guess we're going to do a little doppelganger here because, like in Ukraine, who has the power of the purse?
The House of Representatives,
Right.
which is held by Republicans currently.
Right.
So, this is for all domestic disasters, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
I don't know.
FEMA can only send, or the president can only authorize $700 per family, or person. It's either person or family, for emergencies through FEMA. After that, he has to get Congress to authorize more money to assist. So anybody that thinks that Biden's not doing his job for Maui needs to do their research. He has sent every single thing that he can. He
Right.
has sent FEMA. He has sent the National Guard. He has sent the Red Cross. He's sent everybody. So he's done everything he can. What you might want to do is get on your little phone and call your Republican representative and tell them to throw away their impeachment, which is actually just wasting taxpayer money, and go give some money to Maui, because the House of Representatives has the power of the purse.
Okay. Now, I agree with you because I think some people, they just want to put everything on the president, and it's
Well, they
not
do.
how government works. It's not.
Yeah, you're right.
And you're right.
And I agree, Blue. People that are concerned. Now, I will say there are a lot of conspiracies about Maui. But this is not to be unexpected.
Right.
If you're on an island in the middle of the Pacific where the rest of America just can't rush over and be nosy like we do on the highway every time somebody gets a flat tire, of course, we are going to create all kinds of goofy ass ideas about what's going on over there.
Of course, and that's what they do, when they're to their own devices, just say the most crazy stuff without any proof.
I know. I heard something about if you don't put a blue tarp on top of your house, everything is going to I don't know. Crazy stuff. Okay. And I mean, the people of Hawaii are like, y'all need to come over here and join some hotels because we don't have anybody over here staying over here now. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Let the people in Hawaii and Maui speak for themselves. Everybody else needs to just shut up.
Mm-hmm. Have you considered some off-the-wall conspiracy? Yeah. It's always some off-the-wall conspiracy. Let's just be for real. Living in the United States, right? People will come on, even on all social media or TV, and just say some crazy stuff. And then someone will
They will make up some shit.
with facts.
They literally make up shit.
Just
seriously.
make it up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you name it, and at this point, you name it, and I can probably tell you whether it's a conspiracy or not. Hi, Jersey.
Exactly. And it's crazy because that's where, even with this app, like, we could have a discussion. We'll have different views. Only some people will take the truth, and some people will join go make another live. You know what I'm saying? And be like, oh, what they said was this, and that. I mean, this is literally, what America's about, controversy. Thank you guys.
The thing is we are at a point now where it's almost like those movies where you see somebody and they're like, all right, now we're halfway through the storm. We got to go the rest of the way through.
Right.
There's no going back. You're going to have to just throttle through and jam through and go all the rest of the way through, because if you don't, you're just going to get stuck. And you're going to end up never getting through. If we could have actually put the Trump back in the bottle, maybe, but it's too late.
I wish.
He has opened up the conspiracy theories, the entire the alternative facts, the entire brainwashing thing, the propaganda, the idea that half of us aren't believing in the idea that we're no longer the same country anymore. He's taken it all apart. And while I would say that he is not responsible for the white supremacy that was here with the division and everything that was here before, he is the catalyst that Roger Stone and everybody wanted him to be, to set up for everything that is here now.
Oh, I hear you. For real, it's a lot
The
going
the
on.
seven mountain the seven mountain mandate and the theocracy and the dominionism that they want set up in the 2025 900-page thing that we've got going on right now. He is the catalyst to get that set, because no matter what Republican wins, if a Republican wins in 2024, that is their goal.
And
Well,
They
of
don't
course,
care
because
whether it's Trump
uh,
anymore.
well, number one, it would get him out of jail. That's why he's jumping and jumping up and down like
right,
like whatever, because he wants to stay out of prison. Number two, he wants to be enabled. He wants everybody to pay child support. Okay, that's what this whole grifting thing is.
right.
Okay, it's we got to take care of a billionaire, and 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 this is the logic you've got to explore, that claim they have common sense, and you're like, hello, are we speaking the same language? You are sending money to a billionaire. You don't think there's something wrong, and you don't think that there might be some issue?
You're right, because let me tell you something. I need some money right now. I think everybody, has financial stuff going on right now, and they need to give it to us. Let's just be for real. And even there's people that are, all these homeless people. It just never astounds me that this country, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, we don't care about our homeless. We don't care about these people, and we just treat them like trash. But literally, we can be in their place. I've been homeless before. You know what I mean? And it's horrible. I don't understand
It's
that.
worse than that, though, Joe. I
Yeah,
had mentioned it before, and they want dominionism.
right.
You're a Christian, right, Joe?
You know it, and also I would say this though. I don't disrespect other people's beliefs because
Neither do I. Neither do I.
I've
Okay.
noticed that when I was going to church, right? I agree with what they were saying earlier when I came in, right? That they used to use the Bible to basically just, it is what it is, like keep slavery like it's okay, and to have dominion over people in such an ugly fashion. So I want to take the good stuff. I don't take all the bad stuff, and I try to show love, because love is not a word, it's an action, right? I don't have to agree with someone else's beliefs, that as long as we all believe in a higher power, that's my concern with it. And I had to learn that though. You know what I
But
mean? And
you can agree with me,
yeah,
though. We're
absolutely.
seeing less of that love in our churches and
Yes.
more judgment, more
Yes.
condemnation, and they're hurting people.
Yeah. And that's
Absolutely.
part
That's
of the
why
reason.
I left. I mean that, like, it just got to be too much. I'm like, this hypocrisy, it's
It's
just so
becoming more
hypocritical.
of a corporation with
Yeah.
goals than faith.
Right.
And there was an article that was released out by NPR, I think it was like a couple of years ago, that Christian religion is dying out.
Yeah.
It's at 60%, and they're anticipating it to go down to 20% in the next 20
Yeah.
years. And that's
But
because of some of these the far right is killing it off,
it's
wanting
more than
to.
that, though. It's more than that,
Right.
because the religion's doing it to itself. It's imploding. Okay.
That's true.
The thing is ever since Christianity hit civilization, it's
Right.
been doing this, from the
Absolutely.
Crusades all the way up. And
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and how you could see that is how many fractures it's had over time,
Right.
because we have so many thousands of different types of Christianity,
Yeah.
because we continue to search for the peace and love of Jesus when we constantly fight and bicker and separate
Yes.
ourselves. When we
Yes.
hate on LGBTQ, when we hate on
Yes.
pregnant unwed mothers, when we hate on women that have abortions, when we push conversion therapy, when
Yeah.
we watch thousands of children get essayed and abused and allow these people to continue in our churches, and we do not accept accountability for what they're doing,
Right.
These are against the actual sanctity of Jesus himself. Whether or not we actually believe in who he is, we
Right.
believe in what he said and
Yeah.
what he told us to follow.
Right.
And that is, if you have true faith,
Mm-hmm.
you can feel it.
Yes.
You can feel the lack of following.
Right.
And it said so in the Bible. He said, you will know the false prophets, for they don't
Yeah.
follow my teachings. They will say they are for me and with
Mhm.
me, and they don't follow what I teach.
I think it's
He
very
told
evident.
us that.
It's
He
very
warned
evident.
us. I don't remember where it is because I'm not a Christian that
Yeah,
follows
I don't
word for
I don't
word, but
remember it either.
I
I remember
remember it
this,
being
but
there.
yeah.
I'm sorry, what are
Yes,
you saying,
and the
Bob?
same thing with me, Jersey girl, and the same thing that Joe is saying. When we don't see Jesus anymore,
Yeah.
we walk away and we look in ourselves.
And it's crazy because once I did that, actually, I've gotten a lot closer relationship with God. My spirituality has went all the way up because I realized what they, even though there's some bad things, they always tell you, hey,
We had,
you have to have
if
your
you're
own
like me, I
relationship.
have conversations with Jesus at home.
Yes, absolutely, all day.
I
Yeah,
don't have
Yeah,
to be in
I would
the
agree with that.
yeah,
the the church was supposed to be a hospital for the soul.
right. Supposed to be.
It was supposed to
It
be,
was
but
not supposed
it
to be a place of judgment and fear.
That's right.
but but they've used the first half, okay?
Hmm.
And that book is divided in two parts for a reason, okay? And it's to mark what was old and what was new.
Right.
Okay. And what was new was that Jesus was foretold of in the old. Okay.
And so this is what me and other true
Hmm.
faithful Christians of Jesus feel.
Yeah.
And this,
Well,
along with me being an empath, it is
Right.
how I feel this the seven mountain mandate.
Hmm.
The feeling that this is not where we're supposed to go. This is
Right.
not okay. This is contrary to where he teaches and where he leads us.
well,
And their
you said
mandate,
it's
their dominionism, their want for this control, their want for these
yeah.
7 ways to actually push us is where this 2025 900 page theocracy is going.
You're right. And then I see in the comments the annoying progressive is saying that I guess Jesus is YT and mean. I'm saying this, right? There's so many different versions of what Jesus is. Everyone, people say, oh, he's YT, he's
Yeah. I didn't know
black,
Kitty
he's this, he's
KT.
that. I'm not even going to argue about that.
So
I just know
so
the man
look,
existed. That's
this
it.
is what I will say
I
about
didn't
that.
want to
The
offend.
Bible tells us
Hmm.
specifically that Jesus has the feet of bronze
Right.
and the hair of wool.
Right.
Does that sound like a white person?
It does not. That's right. That's right. Jersey girl pop. I agree with Bob. I'm sorry. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. As I've gotten older, I'm just thankful for my walk now. I realize that you have to have your own relationship, and everyone has different beliefs. It's okay for someone to believe in higher power. I believe in God. There's nothing wrong with that as long as we all understand, the spiritual aspect of it. And even with my
And
spirituality, some people believe it's a third eye. I believe it's,
and
rising.
see, this
Everyone
is
has different
why most of
understanding.
us who believe in
Hmm.
Jesus have
Right.
no ill will to those who don't, because we see the hypocrisy that
Right.
has grown out of the church.
Absolutely.
So we
I will say this. I will say this: I did get thrown out of a live once because I told them I believed in a higher power, and I was just trying to be general, right, and be compassionate for everybody else, for all faith who didn't, who have a different name for this person called God, and I was trying to be generous by giving him HB, but I had the people of that group, they were mad at me, and I'm like, I'm not one of these people that will tell you if you don't believe, you're going to the bad place. I never say stuff like that. In fact, I don't even tell you to believe. I don't. To me,
I really was confused about that for a while, because if you're indoctrinated, they kind of drill that into you. But when you actually speak to people with true spirituality and who study, they will tell you the Bible really doesn't go into depth about where you would end up, right? They just tell you to be a child of Jesus, to be the one that is saved, and how to be. They don't really go into depth of where you will be if you are not, right? Other than to be that you would not be saved.
But
they
I'm
don't
not
even.
a person.
Go ahead.
See I'm not a manipulating person. These people want the game of manipulation. They want to manipulate God and think that that's going to work out. They want to manipulate all of us. They think that's going to work out. And they don't understand all of these things are bad. These are not Christ qualities. These are excellent qualities. Being a manipulative person.
Absolutely. See, and this is what I try to tell people. They say we're supposed to go out and share the gospel. And here's my thing on that. Going out and sharing the gospel, you are supposed to allow the light and the love of Jesus to shine through you. You are supposed to be kind and gracious and more enlightening and positive and effervescent than those around you.
Absolutely.
That is the light of Jesus. If you are like that, that is what attracts people to Jesus. If you are that kind of person, that will attract people to you. And then your love of them and others around you will naturally have them ask you where your love comes from, and you can share Jesus. That was what Jesus was trying to tell us.
I agree.
It was not to hammer him into everybody's brain.
Right.
I will tell you, as somebody in recovery, okay, I can't tell you the countless people that I've run into inside places that they will tell you how they're victims of the church. I know I'm one of them. I know that when I was speaking about how my husband's drinking was absolutely out of control, their response is stay with them. Slamming me up against a wall. Stay with them. Go ahead and sign another second mortgage with them. And work 2 jobs and support a grown-ass man.
And see, I never understood that, My grandma, the first one who adopted me, she used to sleep in the sewing machine room instead of with my grandfather. And I was about 6 or 7 years old, and finally I asked her one morning, how come she didn't sleep with Grandpa? And she told me. Grandpa was a drinker. And back when they were younger, see, she's B negative like I am. She's RH negative. But back when my grandma was younger and she had her children, there was no shot for B negative or for the RH. And he used to come home drunk and grape her. And the doctor told her after her second child that if she had any more children, it would unalive her.
Mm.
She had 4 more children. And finally, after 4 more times of being raped, after he would come home drunk, she stopped sharing her bed with him.
See, now let's talk about that. That's some real stuff right there. You know, it is amazing.
And I loved
but
my
I feel like
grandmother
that's
very
what
much.
dump support
And
is
that never
doing.
diminished how she felt about my grandfather, which kind of, now that I look back on it, blew my mind.
Right. That's
Because
love
back
right there.
then, a wife thought that he was allowed to grape her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I divorced my ex-husband, it was just because of and it's just like he had a lot of mental illnesses, and it became really abusive to where he, tried to unalive me. And so I divorced him, but people they were in the church, oh, y'all gonna work it out. And I'm like, see, I'm not gonna give him the opportunity to do that to me. He already almost did it. And I decided to leave, not because I didn't believe, I think that everybody's intention was great, but they didn't know I was dealing with that. They didn't know that, okay? And I didn't tell them that. I just, did what I had to do. They moved on because, first of all, they weren't living in that. They didn't know how scared I was to go anywhere, how I was kept captive in my house all the time, all the mental and physical abuse. They didn't go through that. It was very traumatic for me. But I had to move on, right? So I had to understand that even though people have a really good, they could, and that's fine to quote the Bible, but it doesn't tell you how to deal with everything. And I had to move on with my life. Even to this day, I had to go through, therapy and everything. And I'm better now, but if I'm with someone now and I feel like they're being too narcissistic or too overbearing or whatever, I will leave them alone. That will always be, in my head. You know what I mean? Don't go through that again, Joe. You have to be strong, Yes, and I can forgive, but the physical stuff, I cannot do it. I'm not going to allow anyone to, try to unline me again, because my reaction is bad now. Even if someone gets, starts, yeah, he did damage me. I'm just going to be honest, right? If a man screams too loud or gets in my face or push me, I automatically have flashbacks. And so my mind is, okay, try to hurt this person. That's not fair. So I can't deal with someone, right, that does that. I'm like, you know what? I just can't do it. It's too much. It's a trigger for me. And I'll leave them alone because I can't ever go back to the headspace. And so it did damage me. But I can admit that now. I couldn't admit that then. And, I'm growing.
I think it's that. Thank you for sharing that. It's very
Absolutely.
personal.
Right. No, it's
I
okay.
think that it's fascinating how we cope when we deal
Right.
with it.
Yeah.
For me, I was always the kid in school that was beat up on.
Yeah.
The one that everybody said, she'll eventually fight back.
Yeah.
When she gets tired of it, she'll fight back.
Yeah.
When she gets tired of being picked on, she'll fight back. I never fought back.
Yeah.
And so after 10 years of that, I just got used to it.
So we just handling some
Although,
really heavy stuff right
back in those days,
there.
nobody really cared.
Yeah, they did.
In the 70s and 80s, it didn't matter. The only time anybody ever gave me attention over it was I would come home from school and I would have gum in my hair and glue in
Yeah.
my hair
Yeah.
and holes
Right.
in my pants from being pushed down the stairs. And my grandma would sit me in front of her and put ice in my hair and peanut butter in my hair while I cried.
Yeah.
So sorry that happened to you, Rosebud.
I'm here with you
Yeah.
because I've been there, and that's why I'm just like, man, we talk about some deep stuff, I'm right here with you, sis. Like, I was bullied, and it's crazy to me that it was like a group of cousins used to bully me. And I just, one day, I don't know, I guess I was just tired of it because they did it for years. And I remember
I
was
tried to fight back a couple times,
I did have to, though. I did. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was in the lunch line one day, and one of them tried to skip me in line, and I was so tired of their crap. Back in the day, that's when they had real forks and real trays. And I got the fork, and I said, it is what it is. I don't apologize. I was like, if you try to do it today, I'm gonna stab you with this. Do you know? Once I did that, they all left me alone. Seriously,
I
they used to
tried
beat
to,
me up every day. Like, it's
I
crazy.
didn't have any siblings, so I didn't know what fighting was.
Oh
So,
goodness.
somebody would hit me, and I would hit them back,
Yeah.
and then they would hit me so hard, I
hmm
would fly across the room.
And I'm telling you, I have a lot of siblings, and I'm right there with you. Like, my heart's there with you. It's just crazy to me that once I stood up to them people one time, they all left me alone.
That's
And
what they told me the whole time I grew up.
yeah,
Never worked out that way.
I don't know. I
You
guess
know,
because I showed them I was crazy. I'm just being for real. Like, sometimes you just gotta show. You don't have to be crazy. You're just tired of it. Like, you
I don't
know.
think, nowadays though, the only thing that goes through my mind
hmm
is wanting to be the one to take it on
Yeah.
for the kid that doesn't know how to defend themselves.
Okay, so that's how you're dealing with that. Okay, that's a good thing as well. You know what I mean? Finding a different way to cope with it. Because it's still in everyday life, let's just be honest, right? It still affects us to this day. How we treat people, how they treat us. You know what I'm saying? It kind of forms your view of life. And because the other day I was actually telling my nephew, because he's so quiet, he doesn't say very much. He's a lot like me until he's pushed to that point. And he was saying the other day that someone threw milk on them and pushed them down. And I was like, so what did you do about it? And he was like, well, I just went to the nurse's office and they gave me a change of clothes. And I told him, I was like, okay, so this is what I'm telling you. When you get tired of it, you'll do something about it. I'm not saying because he was like, I don't want to get in trouble. I was like, yeah, I understand you don't want to get in trouble, but if someone's bullying you and they continue to do that, you need to tell the principal and try to go that route. But if they're not going to do anything, I don't care if you can't fight that good. You're going to have to push them down and just hit them as hard as you can because not because I want him to be violent, I just want him to stand up for himself. You know
I
what I'm
don't think I think when I was a kid though,
saying?
it was a contradiction because I used to, if I said anything at home, like back when I was little, you didn't say anything at home, right?
Right,
In
right,
the early 70s,
right,
you
right,
didn't say anything.
right.
So I remember I was like 6 or so. I asked my grandma what the word fuck meant.
hmm
She chased me around the dining room table until I couldn't run anymore, and then she caught my leg and beat me with the sewing machine belt.
Oh Lord, she was just like, don't be cussing, don't be cussing.
And
hmm
I was 3 years old, and we were on a trip one time, and I hit my cousin in the head with one of those silver skates,
Mm.
the ones that you used to run around with, the adjustable ones that you used to skate outside with back in the day.
yeah.
hmm
I remember.
And I guess I don't even remember, but well, I remember a little bit. I remember crying, but I don't remember hitting him. But evidently, I hit my cousin in the head so hard that he had to go get stitches.
Oh
Mm.
my.
But I was
Good
only
morning,
3.
everyone. Sorry.
Morning.
Good
I
morning.
hear you.
Good
I hear you.
morning. I thank you,
I hear you.
Rosebud. Hi, Joe. Hi,
Oh, go ahead. I'm
Tamara.
sorry,
Night.
Kitty. Oh,
It's
thank you so
okay. I
much.
always let,
Yeah.
I usually let women of color speak first before I continue, because that's important. So I obviously have been on here for like the last hour since I've gotten up. Coffee is kicking in. I think a lot of us grew up, at least I grew up in a household full of boys, and I was the youngest girl, and I think I was the strongest one because I would pick fights with my stepfather. Both my stepfather and my mom were alcoholics, and four stepbrothers and a twin brother and a older brother, and it was always like Katie in the closet, Katie in the closet, and and then I think I started fighting at a pretty young age because I wanted to prove that I could hold myself up with all the boys, and I love my brothers. Now we are tight, and we always have been tight. My oldest
Right.
brother, I'm going to try not to monologue, but my oldest brother is in the military and has been lifelong, and then my twin they're both wonderful men.
Mhm.
But I think when we were growing up in an alcoholic household, it was really difficult. So I did
Right.
throw a TV. I threw a TV at my twin brother once. We were so
So
angry
mad.
with one another. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but he would be the first to defend me if we were out like at the park, our local recreational center. So he
Hmm.
would be like, "Okay, no, Katie, run, run." And then I'd be crying, and I'm like, I want to defend you. And he's like, no, run, 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 because I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going to start crying, but he's such a protector. So is my oldest
Right.
brother and my dad. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I want to congratulate Tamara on sobriety. And I've been
No,
sober for
it's not
12 years.
sobriety. So,
Oh, it's not?
sorry, I'm Al-Anon. I'm,
Oh, I got it. Got it now because of your
yeah,
ex-husband.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
and
good for you.
pretty much
Yeah.
everybody I come in contact with. It was weird,
Yeah.
like, the other Facebook, one of my longtime friends, he's hitting me up, uh, asking me, and all of a sudden, and then I'm like, I'm not interested in dating. You guys off.
Right.
You really don't. They don't seem to understand that some never date again because
Yeah.
of what they voted for.
Right.
We just don't care. We don't
Mhm.
care. We're sorry about your bad luck. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, but the store is closed.
Yeah.
Um, no. And immediately the second response post is vodka.
Yeah.
It's like it's typical in my life. It's about every third man that I run into has this issue. I feel like no one's thinking about it. I'm not sure how much everybody's experiencing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I experienced it a lot actually when I was in AA,
Hmm.
and then going to AA meetings, and then I thought, okay, well, then I was actually doing it. I thought I was on top of the world. I was going through the pink cloud. I was in the pink cloud, and so I thought I was I was the hottest thing on earth. And then
Right.
I realized, oh, go ahead, Joe.
Oh no, girl, I'm just agreeing with you. Look, you were saying you ladies have just really blessed me this morning because I think that sometimes we're always on social media and if we could connect on so many different things that we went through, we'll find out that we went through some of the similar things. You know what I'm saying? And that's what kind of makes us the person that we are today, because that's what I was saying, Kitty, like I'm doing so much better now with substances. I used to smoke and drink all the time. Now I may smoke like twice a month. And people feel like, oh, you're still smoking, but you don't understand. I used to smoke all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is with healing, right, is as you're going through the healing stage, it hurts to go through those emotions, but I've dealt with them. You know what I'm saying? And so it's definitely getting better for me, and I'm so thankful, for that, because it's a process. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not talking about cigarettes, but anyway, because I quit smoking cigarettes years ago. But
Good
it's a
for you,
process.
Joe.
And, thank you so much. And that's what I'm saying. It's not easy, because honestly, it's just easier just to smoke a joint, and it makes it go away. But dealing with those emotions, that's where you hold your power. You know what I'm saying? And so that's all I wanted to say. You're so great. You keep talking, Kitty, like you're encouraging me this morning. You ladies are great.
Oh, thank you.
You ladies are great.
Well, guys,
What's that
I hate to
background
say
going
this,
on?
but I got to get ready for a trip to Pittsburgh to go see my kiddo.
Oh,
Trip, my
So
love.
she's at her freshman year at Pitt, and Daddy wants to go take her out to lunch.
aw.
And so we're a couple hours away, so I just want to get off of here and
Okay.
not be tied up. So
I'm just following everybody. I hope you guys are not offended.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
following
so
Follow
everybody,
you
baby.
guys.
Y'all really showed me something.
thanks for the grace and thanks for the time. And
I hope I said that. Katina.
Okay, boo. When you get back on, I'll be there. All right, everybody, enjoy your Sunday. Thank you for talking with me,
thank
and I
you.
Yes.
followed you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
You
Yeah,
too. Bye bye.
You
enjoy
too.
your Sunday.